What's going on, everyone? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this part of the world, any part of the world. Good to have everybody in there. Oh, let's see. Let's get this thing geared up here. Just check my audio here for a second here. Let's see what we got. Alrighty, let's see. Make sure this one's up here. We should. Good morning, good afternoon. All right, we are working. What's going on, everyone? Glad to be here. It's been a while. Oh, Lord, it's been a while. Let me see what we got here. Had to blow the cobwebs off some of this stuff just to get it to work. Although I am lying, I have been on the computer. That would be a lie if I told you I was not. However, you know, just checking out different things. I was actually looking into buying another scanner and stuff like that. Something a little more high-tech. The one I got works great. However, it's not what I want. It's not, doesn't have every mode, every feature known to man, which it's not like your older scanners you can just direct entry, put it in there and be done with it. So that kind of sucks in that way, but it's all right. It's a learning curve. We all do that. So yeah, fun. Let's see. Josh D's in the house. Time for the old roll call as usual. Mimi's in there. Let's see. Let me make this here a little bit better there. There we go. Corey's in there. What's going on, Corey? Elaine's in there. Good evening, good morning, wherever you guys are. Good to have everybody in there, like I said. Brain Drain's in there. I haven't seen you before. Maybe you've been in there and just so many people, sometimes it just jumps over people, but good to have you in there. Said, hey, I'm hitting the like. I appreciate it. That's awesome. Pete Ferrero's in there. Buffalo, New York here. Hey, Chris. Yeah, I don't know about you, Pete, but I don't know if you'll even get any remnants of Ian, but I know we have in the last couple of days. We still have, it's not completely gone yet, but it's a little bit of a nuisance, but I thank God we didn't get nailed like a lot of the folks down south, including my own daughter, which was right in the path of Ian. So anybody who's in there or knows anybody who lived down there, you know, if anything bad happened, my apologies, and yeah, I just hate to see that kind of stuff. It sucks. Not that I'm responsible for it, obviously. But on the other side of the token, it's just like there's a lot of people who, you know, just made it through unscathed. You know, in other words, like perfect example. My daughter was over there, and I can show you some pictures too of her house. They had their house built brand new last year, and they got lucky. I think they had a gutter ruined. You know, so. You just gotta be thankful, right? So my heart goes out to anybody who hasn't. But perfect example, you know, they were at her boyfriend's father's house where they had these like steel shutters and all that other stuff, and they didn't even know it was windy and rainy. I mean, they could tell at some point because when it got real heavy. But they came out, and the only thing that was wrong was I think the fence was ripped out of the ground. I'd be thankful. You know what I mean? You can replace anything part of the house, but some people I heard actually lost their houses and everything else. So, you know, I'm just, you know, our prayers go out to these kind of people because it sucks. Because, you know, people don't realize, they go, well, I got insurance. Well, insurance is one thing, but when you have, your whole life is in it, right? You might have important documents, papers, whatever, ownership of your car, your house, your this, that, and the other. And then all of a sudden, just like that, it's gone. Unless you got it in a safe, which is good. But just like that, blink of an eye, it's gone. So, you know, like I said, my heart goes out to anybody there, and I hope everybody made it out through, did well, you know, because it's not easy. And, you know, I know a lot of people got their ass kicked, you know, down there, and, you know, I hate to see all of that. Kyle, thank you very much. Right off the bat, boom, supporters as always. Well, you guys are all supporters, but you can see. Sup, gang, he says, and Kyle, I forget where you said you were at, because I know you moved down to Florida. I don't know what part. I don't think you were in the direct aim of it, if I'm not sure. You can correct me if I'm wrong. So I hope everything was well down there, as well as, you know, everybody else. Because like I said, I know somebody, either aunts, uncles, grandparents, or whatever, they somehow have a connection to somebody in Florida, right? James Craig, thank you very much for your support as always as well. Thank you. He said, hi, Chris and everyone. Oh, it's just fantastic to see all the truth seekers back together with the great Chris M himself. So let's get ready to rock it, rock all. Yeah, and I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. And like I said, I'm glad to be back. And it's just like this touch and hit and miss, if you will. It's just weird. you know, it just doesn't, I don't get out till like at least 4:30. Well, that's kind of a lie. It's like 4:30, depending on what I'm doing in there. Sometimes it's a little later, but roughly between that time. You still got people coming out of school, which is really weird. But when you live out in the country, you could be on the bus for like an hour, hour and a half to get home, right? So you got that. Regular traffic. People coming home from work. It's a cluster. You know, you think you'd get home. It takes, no BS, guys. It takes me sleazy 20 minutes to get to work. No, not a big deal. Coming back, we're talking a whole different story. You know what I mean? It could be anything from, you know, nothing like a half hour to 45 minutes easily. So I never can tell. So, and then I get home, wife's making dinner. It's just almost impossible. You get home and you're just kind of like tired. You just want to just relax. So, so I'm sure you guys understand that. It's kind of a pain in the rear end, but you know, you got to do it. It's all about the Benjamins, right? But you also want to get this done too. Like I have like I got 3 more videos to do, which is really, really cool. And one of them is like really like wow, and it's blatant. It's like one thing just like shows up in this photo, and you go, I don't have to do a thing to it, and it's right there. You can see it. So it's actually pretty cool. And it's a satellite view, which is even pretty cool too. Leslie Ann Warren, what's going on? Good to see you in there. We are on. Dean Brazil, what's going on? He said, hi, Chris. I can't watch now, but I'll watch it later once I get home. Thumbs up from me. Appreciate it, Dean. Hope you have a safe trip home there, right? Let me see here. JB Robertson, what's going on? Good to see you in there. Said, hey, just saying hi from Vancouver Island. Well, hello, JB. Good to see you in there. It's always good to see newer people, or new people, period, right? Mr. Sparko Bates, what's happening? He said, Chris, bro, boom, bumpage. Sasha, what's going on? He said, audio works. Yeah, we always test that just to make sure. I've seen people actually do live feeds and they're going, and of course, I made that mistake. Remember, guys? I put a video on and then I'd mute mine because you'd actually hear like an echo, so I'd rather mute mine and I'd be going, and people go, Chris, audio. Oh, shit. God damn it. It is what it is. We are human, right? It is what it is. It's always good to make mistakes. You just know you're human. Ann Spence, what's going on? He said, this is nice to have on a Sunday afternoon. We may do this for a while. I'm not sure yet, so don't mark, you know, let's not etch that in stone. But today's still kind of a ho-hum day, so it's not exciting. Exciting to be on here with you guys, but as far as weather-wise, crap. But, you know, either way, still good to be on. It just feels good. Great for all. What's happening? He said, hi, hello, everyone. Cameron's in there. What's going on, Cameron? He said, how are you, Chris? I'm doing well, Cameron. I hope you're doing well as well. What is going on here? They just jumped on me. I hate it when this thing does this. Noodles, what's happening? He said, any hurricane damage in your area? No, not at all. We did have a bunch of rain. And it was slightly breezy. It wasn't, I don't think it was, like we still got a breeze going on today. I don't think it goes up to maybe 8 to 10 miles an hour. It's crap. I'm not complaining. It's like I want more, right? But I think yesterday was maybe 10, 15 miles per hour. It wasn't nothing to get excited about. It was like a breeze. So no damage here other than if anybody's in low-lying areas, lives in these hollows or whatever it may be, they'll get a little flooding, but nothing compared to these poor people down in, actually the Carolinas, got their butts handed to them. Obviously Florida, because they were the brunt. And like I said, my daughter was right there on the path of it. So they had trees around their house. They said, well, let's go stay at, you know, her boyfriend's dad's. So they all went over there. And I think there's like 8 of them total in the house. Good-sized house anyway, steel shutters, the whole nine. So they were safe, no problems. And like I said, the only thing they had wrong with that house is the fence was ripped up. You know what I mean? I'd be okay with that. Like I said, fence can be replaced. MG Toe, what's going on? This is a good time to have your vlog as long as you're not at church. This is true. Very true. Very true. Bush Corey Gaz, what's happening? I know Jean's in there as well. I saw Jean. He says, good evening, afternoon, everyone. I actually invited Jean, but he said he just, probably caught him off guard, but he said, I'll be in the chat to see what you guys are doing. He says something like, I don't look too good. He sounds like me, you know, you just crawl out of bed, you're like, you look like you just crawled out of a car wreck. So, yeah, I get what you mean, Jean, but it's good to have you in there, buddy. Maybe we can do it up next time. There's a couple people like to get on here, too. Couple old people. Do. Let me see. James, thank you again. Again, I can see you did. Let me see. Hold on. This thing just, I hate it when it does it. Again, thanks for your support. You said, Chris, we are all with you, man, no matter what you have to do in your own personal life. That's life, man. P.S. The vid yesterday had the NASA double blur all over it, man, but you fixed it, of course. Yeah, the double isn't a word for it. It's like so dense, right? It's like hard to even cut through that crap, but you can literally see little white objects inside there. Pretty neat. Again, you guys, thank you for your support. You're awesome. Miss Hurd, what's going on? Good to see you in there. So she's in there as well. John Robertson's in there. He says, cheers, mate. Cheers, John. Good to have you in there. Bill Jameson says, I always look forward to your videos. Bill from Livingston, Pennsylvania. Good to have you in there, Bill. Hope you're doing well up in Pennsylvania. Hillbilly Tarzan's in there. What's going on? Good to have you in there. Good afternoon, Chris. Good afternoon. Noodles, you said working on set a lot. Hey, Kurt Russell told me a few UFO stories a few weeks ago. Really? That's neat. Speaking of which, I got a video coming for you guys, and it's one of the astronauts. And if you haven't seen the video, and I think some of you have, because this is not a new video, but it just goes to show you that a lot of these astronauts getting closer to, or up there in age, I should say, because you don't want to say, like, you know, 1 foot in the grave, one in the banana peel, on a banana peel kind of thing. But you can say, you know, a lot of people say, you know, what is it, deathbed confessions or whatever. I guess you can call it that, but these people are up there in age, and, you know, they just kind of spill it. And it just goes to show you, if the astronauts have seen this, why is the government denying it? It's like, shh, don't say nothing. It's like, if they're here, it's not far-fetched to believe that maybe there were other colonies on other planets right here in our own solar system. So it's not far-fetched, even if you were your very first beginner looking into, was there possibly life on Mars? It's not hard to fathom this. Even if there's no life on it now, there was prior. Always, definitely was, you know, life on that planet. No doubt in my mind. Alusta, I said, hey, hello, how are you? Good to see you. Well, it's good to see you as well, man. Well, man, it's just awesome to see everybody back in there. Leslie Ann, you said, no, Ricardo. I told him, I'll probably pop in there. He's just probably, because a lot of people didn't expect this, so I don't, you know, have any problem with it. And I wasn't sure I was even going to do the Hangout. Remember, I even said, you know, maybe I'm thinking of maybe kicking around the idea about, you know, 12 p.m., you know, on Sunday. Didn't etch it in stone, but I said, well, I'll let you guys know. So I think it was like 2.5 hours prior to this. So if other people have other plans, you know, cool. Noodles, you said your question was, anybody read Goldie Hawn's book? I can't say that I have. Did she mention anything about that as well? By seeing any UFOs or any of that sort? Jean Ward, you said, I've been keeping a close eye on the rovers and MRO. Nothing new at the moment. Yeah, funny how that works. Remember before, like, it could be any of the rovers, right? But, you know, Curiosity, they'd go, like, blank for, like, a week. It's like, oh, yeah, something happened with that. We're trying to get it, you know, we're doing a workaround, trying to get that straightened out. And then you go, sure you are. Or you just want to just stop transmission coming back, or you're having it come back because you're just not telling the public. And say, we'll just keep that information for ourselves, kind of thing, you know. Let me see. Eric Bauer's in there. What's going on, Eric Bauer? I'm just going backwards because it did jump on me, so I just want to make sure I got everybody in there. I don't want to miss anybody there. That's kind of a tongue twist. We'll just call you Perp Banana, because that doesn't sound too good either, but we'll call him Perp Banana. Did you notice the asteroid looked like the first roll of rocks on Mars? Yeah, that's kind of funky too. I actually have that as a video too, if nobody's actually seen that. Really weird. It's kind of like some of the shapes on these asteroids, you know, and stuff like that. You know, now it could be nothing but, you know, simple jagged rocks over a course of time. You know, they slam into the asteroid and everything else and get embedded in there. Could very well be, right? Noodles, you said astronauts, actors, presidents, etc. Absolutely. They're all coming out with it, slowly but surely, right? So I find that interesting how they do that, but... Ali Khan, what's happening? Good to see you in there. Noodles, you were just telling Miss Hurd, you said Kurt flew his plane past the Phoenix Lights, and Goldie Hawn had her own encounter, a very spooky encounter. See, that's what I'm saying. It's like a lot of these people wouldn't even come forward, because remember, it was like kind of like taboo. They thought you were off the deep end when you talked about it. Now, when you see people now, because they're going, well, it's coming out in the open, why not share my experience? And there you go. Doesn't sound too fruitcake-ish now, does it? You're just kind of like, wow, that's cool to hear. You had told that story in the past, they'd go, sure you've seen it, and they'd do everything they can to kind of inch away from you, thinking, yeah, sure you've seen that. But now they're finding it more and more easier just to come out with it and just, you know, just say, oh, no, this is what happened. So I think that's cool that people are literally coming out with it more and more. Ali Khan, thank you, Master. Well, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Renee V's in there. What's going on, Renee V? Custom Tailored One's in there. He says, hey, everyone. What's going on, folks? Good to see you in there. And just jumped on me. I'd love it. Not really. I'm being sarcastic. Simo, what's going on? He said, hello, Chris and all. Good to see you in there. Yeah, John, that's the very one I was talking about. He said the astronaut in the DOT mission looks like Banu. Of course. Weird megalithic blocks all over its surface. Exactly. And if you look at one pot, because they show it like the DOT spacecraft heading towards it, you can see what looks like a big rectangular block type thing on the very, I'm going to say tip. It's the way you see it, right? It's not the angle. It's the way you see it. And in part of this video, and if you pause it just right, you can see it. And you go, what the hell? What makes it like a rectangular block or something? Just like, let's say it's flying through space and it just embeds itself into the asteroid. You go, okay, but 90-degree corners, flying through space, who would have thought? Alan Snyder, nice surprise today. What do you think about the ancient megalithic and underwater structures here on Earth? Love it. Interesting, love it to death. It's just awesome. When you see, you know, they're doing more and more of these, you know, ground penetrating radar kind of things, and they're doing it right from space as well. Obviously, they have their own portable ones, so if they're like on the grounds, like if, let's say, Giza, checking out like in front of the Sphinx where they found like another tunnel underneath the Sphinx. I think it was, I forget what it was, 100, maybe 50 to 150 feet underground, and they're starting to see more of these passageways and all this other stuff. You go off the coast of, was it Japan, is it? Is it Japan, I think it is? You got I'm going to pronounce it weird, Unagami. I think it was a Unagami lake where you can see like these other, you know, you can tell they're built by man. Of course, there was one article I read that said, oh, it could be like water erosion. No. You can literally see steps inside this thing. You can see fresh, oh, not fresh, but you can see nice cut corners and levels of this thing. I think it's Unigami. I just want to make sure I'm saying it right. Either way, that's like 50 feet, 75 feet. I think it's 75 feet below the surface. Just incredible stuff, and I love it. And I don't think we really know just how old civilization is. We're just taking guesses. But every time we guess, we go, yeah, well, you know, like I said, all these people are saying, oh, yeah, the planet's only 6,000 years old. You go, please stop. Just stop. I beg of you. Because then, you know, you look at the pyramids alone, they go back, and the Sphinx is supposed to be older than the pyramids. It just goes back more and more and more. And every time it goes back, they go, that blows that theory out of the water. Now we're up to 250,000 years we could have been on the Earth. No, it's 500,000. They don't actually know. They don't. You know, like I said, we've talked about different subjects like the Big Bang, and I said that's BS. Because, you know, if you have, and I've explained this before, if you were to take a pebble and drop it in the lake and it goes out like this, and just waves of, you know, 360 degrees going outward, how do you have other planets slamming into other planets? Something had to happen where it threw something out of kilter. So I said there's more than one of those. And now, not recently, they just said that. It's a random act. So, and you know, it's just, you don't have to be an astrophysicist to figure this out. I'm going, the only way I can make another 360 degree wave going outward in a lake, to interfere with it, I have to throw another pebble in there in order to those waves to clash, right? So, just, I don't know, I guess it's just deduction. You know, you can figure it out. So I thought that was really odd. And they said the same thing about Mars, how there's really no H2O, it's just basically carbon ice and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, it basically turns into a vapor when it evaporates. It doesn't go into a liquid. And I call that BS because just going by the Hubble Space Telescope's, you know, photos of Mars and all of its seasons, and going by its polar caps, I went, well, this is the same thing, exact same thing that happens here on Earth. Then they said, well, there's water here, there's water here, there's water here, there's water underground. Oh, stop. Listen, you know, it's like I said, it's a fact that they had, there's a water cycle in Gale Crater. They know this, and they figured this out because there's a lot of water, or at least like soaked into the sand. You can call it gravel, depending on if it's got enough stone in it. But either way, you know, when they say that when they use a drill bit and they try to, you know, when they drill into something or even into the ground, right, they drill into it, and what happens is it's meant to pick up some of the soil so it can actually do an analysis on it. But they found out it's mud and it's getting caught inside there. And they said, well, how's that possible? Well, we found out there's a water cycle in Gale Crater. Imagine that. So, and then he said, by the way, there's H2O as well as on the caps. It's, you know, it's really not rocket science to figure this shit out. James Gregan, thank you again. Man, this guy's he's out of control. Chris, have you noticed lately that there is a lot of stories about alien abduction and UFO sighting coming from CIA employees? Well, that to me seems a bit strange coming from them, man. Yeah, what do you think? And I think that's really weird too. It's like, again, we're going back to what I said about, is it possible now a lot of these people coming forward because now it's no longer taboo. You know, like before you can come out with something outlandish, you can say, oh, you don't understand, I was driving my car through the countryside and all of a sudden my car stalled, kind of like a, what do you call it, Close Encounters, right, the movie? Truck stalls, and all of a sudden you get abducted. People back then would have said, them guy's been hitting the bong a little too much, just a little too much. But now it's not that way at all. Now it's like, you know, Pentagon's putting out videos, all kinds of UFO, you know, what's the word I want to use? Like they're divulging a lot of it all of a sudden, right? I'm not sure I believe all of the people coming out with it. I think a lot of it's just a bunch of crap because they're just trying to get in the limelight and, you know, the spotlight. Ooh, look at me, I'm popular now. Because like I said, I'm not a big fan if you can't come out with some kind of proof. So in other words, like we're talking about Elizondo. A lot of people talk about Elizondo. Is there any truth to what he's saying? I would say yes. However, everything he talks about has there's no proof. I mean, anybody can hear, including yourselves, we can all think of a big story and talk about this, right? We can all be sitting there going, so I was abducted, right? And, you know, I was able to steal something off one of their tables and put it in my pocket, and it had this really weird, funky lettering on it, and I'll be damned though if when they put me back on Earth and I was late, I couldn't find it, must have fell out of my pocket. Come on. Now, some people would believe that if I looked serious enough and everything else, but until you show me proof, come on. Give me a better video from like we were talking about, what is it, the Nimitz encounters and all of this crap. It's like, show me daytime video or piss off with it, because to me it's a bunch of crap. What do you guys think? You guys think it's all true, or do you think, maybe some half-truths? What do you think? $786 Auto, damn, thank you very much. I do appreciate you, man. He said, glad you are back. I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad to be with you guys. This is awesome. Like I said, I've been telling the wife, man, I got to get in there. I've been wanting to get back on this thing and just relax. And it's not a Friday, granted, because then you get the whole weekend to actually think about it. You're like, this is nice, be able to relax. But it's still good to be on here regardless. It's just great. But again, 786 Auto, thank you very much. I appreciate you. And everybody else, you fine folks for being here. That alone is like, bam. I got way too many mouses here. I'm over there going, why isn't this thing moving? Oh, it's because you got on the other one. It's like, get your hand on the other one. Whitebeard Sky Daddy, what's going on? There's a thriving biosphere on Mars, and there should be no need for apostrophe. Well, true. Let me see. And I agree. Hold on, this thing just jumped here. Here we go. Yeah, I mean, to me, I think, and I've said this, there's at least organics on this planet. And, we showed that video, and I might even show it again, where we had the Ingenuity helicopter flying. Remember, we had it in slow-mo and everything else. And there's another gentleman that had put out the video. That's not my put together, of course. And they just put these slides together, and you can see this thing literally coming in and out of the scene of the camera. You can see like a shadow, what I believe to be something higher. It could be about the size of the actual, Ingenuity, but it's further up. In other words, the reason why I say this is because it's not a defined shadow. Well, you see the video, it's pretty defined on the ground with that helicopter. So some people say, no, it's a micron of dust or whatever. I've gone, okay, so it's just 1 micron of dust flying around, nothing else. Listen, if this thing's going to kick up that kind of dust, you should see a bunch of it in that camera. You should see a bunch of little dots and all kinds of, you don't see that. You don't see it at all. And it would be casting a shadow on the ground. Now, again, their argument is, well, it's just a piece of dust right near the camera. I said, okay. So it comes in the camera range, into the sight, into view, goes back out, comes back again, flies this way. It's like it's whatever it is, it's just kind of just going around the Ingenuity. It's just really crazy. Really, really cool. I mean, stop putting on, just put these things together. Water cycle. What looks like something flying around the Ingenuity. Water on Mars. I mean, the life, this list goes on because, and it just says that there's life. That's all there is to it, right? I've seen that too, Pete. You said scientists say 3 times the water is under Earth than in the ocean. They say that, and there's more water in the crust itself, right? So I was just reading that. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday I was reading that. I said, what? And it doesn't surprise me, because we know Earth is not completely round to begin with, right? It's spherical, but it is not round. And if you were to take all the water off of Earth itself, it's not round. It's literally got cut out and chunks missing, and when you go to the deepest depths of the ocean and stuff like that, it's not round. John Cordes, he said, hey, bud, in 1987, I killed myself and seen 2 past lives. I was on our home planet and Mars 2,000 years ago. Right as the attack happened, I explained it on my YouTube page. I can prove I was there. Wow, that's awesome. That's different. I've never heard of that. That's cool. So do you have your own, you got your own channel, you said? Or you got your own video? If you do, I can drop a link here and let people check it out themselves if you do have one. Oliver Klein, what's going on? Good to see you in there. I'll drink to that. There's no bad stuff in it. No, I'm kidding, guys. But he's going, man, he's actually drunk. That would be bad. Just jumped on me here. Josh D, You said, just seen live stream of last Ingenuity flight, and it confirms what you say. Oh, so there was another one. I didn't see that one. To me, 100%, there's things flying around on that planet. There are still leftover items scattered throughout the planet, meaning proof of past life. And what I mean by past life, meaning civilized life. I don't mean like things flying in the air and things crawling around. But I actually think there could actually be some people or living beings on the planet still, right? I still get the sense that everything is smaller than here on Earth. Am I the only one that feels that way when you look at some of these photos? Because some of them we've seen in the past where you see like the front of the rover, and as long as it hasn't been superimposed in this photo, you see it, and it doesn't look like it's that far from the rover, and they don't look very big. You go, are they parts? Or is there really smaller beings on there and they're actual structures? There's no way to know. And it'd be purely speculative at that point, right? Well, at any point, because that's all we can do. But you still look at it and you go, why do I get the impression that things are so much smaller built than it would have been here on Earth? Because if you think about it, Earth is smaller. It's a little over half the size of our moon, I believe. So it is a lot smaller. But it depends on, I don't know, atmospherics. It depends on gravity. It depends on a lot of things, how big these people would be, or these beings, right? I don't know. Marco Besta, what's going on? Good to see you in there too. Tony Introvert said Jupiter is getting closer. What was it they saying? Was it Jupiter? What are they saying? I think it's Jupiter. They said something like it's going to be the closest we'll be able to see it a little bit better. Is it me? Was it supposed to be Jupiter, or was it something else? You guys can chime in on that. But I just read that just before, and this was earlier this morning. Robert Kermit Cole, what's going on? He said, we are not getting the advanced videos of UAPs correlated to our current technology. Billions of dollars for grainy images or black and white pictures. Please, government, stop insulting our intelligence. Spot on, Robert, spot on. And I keep saying the same thing. It's a bunch of crap. Come on now. They must think people are just idiots. I mean, it's like you're going to tell me, and I've said this a million times, why no daytime photos? Even if it was dusk or dawn, you should be able to get better. You can adjust the camera to get a brighter sky. There's no doubt in my mind. So you go, okay, so that's the best you can give us is night vision or infrared? Really? Come on. And so they must think we're just idiots. I don't know. Mike Knapp, what's going on? Good to see you there, brother. I see you hanging out with us. That's awesome. John Doe says there was a civilization on Mars millions of years ago. NASA is hiding evidence. Totally agree. That's exactly what this channel's been based on ever since I came out with it, because it's just, that's exactly what I've seen so many years ago. And I'm going, man, this is crazy. Okay, James, appreciate your support as always. Thank you very much. I do appreciate you. You said, Chris and everyone tonight. I must go for about 45 minutes, but I'll be rushing back. See you guys soon. All right, James, just be careful. I don't know where you're going, but we'll talk to you soon. And thanks for your support as always. Hellfire Studios, what's going on? I think I seen you in there earlier, but this thing jumped on me, but I want to say hello to you. I too think I saw something strange, and Diddy Moss as Dot flew by. Yes, it was just really weird. It was just, and like I said, we could break it down and slow it down, and we can do what we want with this, and I'll show you. It's just, I don't even know how to explain it. Even if you pause, you can see it as it's rotating. It's not rotating a whole lot, but it is kind of like coming up, and you can see, of course, the satellite coming towards it, and you can just on the upper right edge, at least again, it's like a giant potato or something similar to that size, or just the way it's shaped, and you can see it looks like something rectangular, some weird things on it, and you go, okay, it could very well be rocks and shit from million-year-old rocks and stuff just hurling through space. Absolutely, totally agree. But there's some things you just go, okay, that looks a little odd. John Doe, your question was, who cleans the solar panels on the rovers? No one. Neither one of those are now running. Actually, I should say, well, there was actually the two of them. But, well, three of them, if you go back to the 1997 Sojourner rover. But both the Spirit and Opportunity are dead sticks. They are no longer working. And you get a good gust storm, you can either make them dusty or it can blow them off again. Now, I know there was a controversy where it showed, I think it was a Spirit, where it showed it completely dusty. But again, you got to keep an eye on the way these photos are. 1 minute it's showing it all of the orangey, pukey color all over the whole photo, including the rover. Next time it's showing it's kind of orangey, but then it looks more brownish and more natural color, and it's cleaned off. Okay, which one is it? So there's a lot of effery going around, if you know what I mean. But neither one of those are working anymore. I think they are secretively. They just made it sound like, oh, they're no longer working anymore. They're junk. One of them got stuck and the other one got a sandstorm, and they're no longer functional. Now, of course, you got the Curiosity still going. It's nuclear powered, and you've got what do you call it? The newest one out, which is also nuclear powered, Ingenuity. So yeah, the other two rovers now, the ones that are left, are still nuclear powered, so there is no solar panels. Noodles, you said space has very few radio sources. Dot used the 3% rule. We had to strike the little asteroid just in case, and woke every 1,000 years to direct a big asteroid. Exactly. Exactly. Mick, what's going on? Gustafsson, what's happened? What's happening? What is that? Hold on. Something just popped on the screen here. Oh, okay, this other person getting back to me. I was just asking about that. Remember I said something about getting another scanner, upgrade the one I've got, and they just, you can see it come up on the screen over here. All right. Tommy Bird, what's going on? He said, hey, Chris, great to be back. Exactly, Tommy. Good to see you in there as well. And we also got to touch on the, when you guys are talking about radio signals and other stuff, we're going to touch on the FRBs as well. I don't know if you guys have been reading about that, but they said they think they know. Of course, it's always something else. We'll get into that as well. Yeah, I agree with you, John. You said the floating cities in the skies that happen is our own planet being projected, and our skies to show us how bad the pollution was. Yeah, remember that they had that, was it like China or something like that? They had like there's like a city in the clouds. People are like, oh my God, look at that. So I don't know if there's some kind of weird shadowing going on, somehow going off and refracting or reflecting off clouds or whatever, but it looked like a city. That was actually pretty bizarre. And if you'd never seen it before, you would probably soil yourself and probably say the same thing. Oh my God, a city's in the clouds. But yeah. Mars Sketcher, he said, yes, very weird. I have seen small and large vehicles side by side. Yeah, I'll show you the one I love the best, and you guys have seen this, what looks like on a landscape type thing coming into a crater wall. It looks like vehicles on the sides of this thing. And that's probably one of the best ones I've ever seen that shows something similar to what we have. Now, it still boggles the mind because you're going, why would they have vehicles like we have on our planet? Why would they do that? It just sounds really ridiculous, right? But nonetheless, they're still there. So it's like us. Look at the technology we're jumping, like I've said this before, leaps and bounds. The technology is insane. You can bet the government has insane technology. We have everything from ancient, meaning Mayans, Egyptians, Toltecs, all kinds of weird, different ancient civilizations, right? And then we have the technology we got today. So there's this huge pendulum swing in years that things are on the planet, whether it's a whole lot less technological to right up to what we are today. And yet we still have vehicles. And here's the other thing too, is like, we're making it more high-tech, even though we're still using the wheel. So I think there'll be from years to come, and then next, at some point, and I don't know how they'll do this, because people can't even drive on roads, let alone in the air, but you have a lot more flying cars. Now, they do have some of those, and, you know, they're trying to get them kicked off, but like the elites will be able to have these things. And of course, you'll have to fly it certain ways, and, you know, in other words, certain heights and distances around cities, and I just can't imagine how that's going to happen. I see that very catastrophic. Go to take off, oh, fault, and just kill, like, I don't know how many people on the ground. So, yeah, that'll be a little bizarre seeing that. So, but still, like, using the wheel. You know what I mean? So either way, it just goes to show you that even though technology rolls around, you know, or just keeps going forward, we're still using the wheel. So my other thing is too is that, you know, we don't know if those are in fact vehicles, because they sure look like what we have here on Earth, if they're powered by something else. People think, what, combustion engine? That's ridiculous. How do we know that? You know, look at the cars we have now. I mean, we're getting them to look more and more sophisticated, more space age, but electric, we got hydrogen, you know, different cars, and yet there's still a different propulsion. They don't have to be combustion, right? Renee V said, I would go on the visit at a beautiful, what? Oh, I'm going to visit a beautiful lady, but I was wrong about time. For the hangout, I stay at home, so I just called off the best channel. Oh, oh, that's just awesome. I am Merkin, what's going on? You said security team back then used to be an avid follower. He's done some decent stuff coming out. I mean, you can see what he's doing, and you know, in fact, I just watched one. He had a follow-up of something to do with something around the Earth and what looked like spacecrafts. A lot of those, and he even admitted, he said there's a lot of what looks like, you know, there's a lot of, because you can remember these are film, right? So during that time when they were, you know, doing the film, you know, dock room and all this other crap, you can have hairs fall in there. They had everything from, like, I remember seeing things like little insects, and, you know, they're all on the photos, and you just can't get rid of that. And this may very well be the same thing he's showing. It could be just different color, because it is in color. It could have been something that fell on the film, and, you know, of course, the exposure shows it. But it's still interesting to see that one. That was pretty good. Philosophical skepticism, critical thinker. Hi all. I believe that many people see animals, cars and things in the gigapan pictures of Mars that they see, but they are afraid to be judged and suffering from pareidolia. Exactly right. And, you know, I've actually been blamed for that. Somebody said, and not about pareidolia, but they were saying, Chris, man, just say it like it is. You think it's this. Now, when I first started, you know, doing this, I was like, I started analyzing these photos. It can't be. It just can't be. Because, again, it's going against everything you believe or that you've been taught, right? So you go, it can't be. Let me just check this. I'm going to double and triple check this photo. I'll double and it still comes out the same. I'm going, something's wrong where I'm seeing things that are a lot like what we see on Earth. And you guys know my theory, or I should say speculative view, if you will, that at one time we might have been coexisting. It might have been Mars and Earth. Or if life started on Mars first, had a civilization very similar to what we got today, maybe the technology wasn't lost completely as far as, like, if they did come here somehow, came to Earth, they already had the knowledge that said, listen, as soon as we can figure out a way to build stuff like we used to have on Mars, then we can obviously do it here on Earth. And, of course, it got lost along the way, and then finally up to this point. I don't know. Purely speculation, of course. But how do you come up with things that look very similar to what we have here on Earth on Mars and vice versa? So that's what boggles the mind. It's not that you don't want to say, oh, it is this, or a person. It's just like, how do you know for sure? But when you see some of the things in it, you just go, wow, I don't even know how to explain that, but it's there. You know what I mean? And after I brought out the darker lines, like I said, I don't even know if I still got it over here. I'll show you it'll be a lot better on the screen, but let me see. And I still got these here in black and white. Like I said, I was just showing a buddy of mine these here. This is that one that looks like like a weird vehicle, and actually two vehicles on it. And like I said, I'll show you the one on the screen. It's a whole lot better. I don't care what anybody says. To me, in my eyes, they look like vehicles. I'll show you again. For all the new people that just got here, let's have a look at that. Like I said, this is probably one of the best finds. I don't even need this one. I'm not sure that, well, that's there. But right here. Especially these two arrows, the one in the middle and the one on the right. I'm sorry. To me, those look like vehicles. People can say, well, it's kind of funny looking rocks and kind of things like that. One of them, the one up in the yellow, bigger arrow, it looks like a top of a vehicle. And whatever it is like they literally tried to take that out. And you can see like a blurring on the side. It's almost like picture your vehicle buried in water or sand right up to the top of the doors, not over the windows. And all you can see is like, well, for you people in the UK, you see a windscreen, you see the side windows, and yet that's all you see, like the roof, and that's it. But then on the one on the left, where you see the red arrow, every time I show somebody, he goes, it looks like some kind of little mini military Jeep. That's what they say. And I said, that's the first thing I saw when I saw it. I was like, what the hell is that? So, flux capacitor, what's going on? So when I see this, I go, come on. These look like vehicles to me. If that's pareidolia, it's pretty darn strong. You know what I mean? Ron Reviews, you said the back window of a car. To me, that looks like the front. But you could very well be right as well, right? It looks like it's something coming down the hill. You can see the windshield or windscreen, and you can see the side windows right here. And you can see where they went like this. There's a straight line, like almost like a blur, like they try to put over it and hide some of it. And if you've seen the original, and I can give you guys the PIA number to this, it's PIA 06701. And you can see it. It's off on the left-hand side in this panorama. It's off to the left, and it has this smooth spot you see here, right? There's actually a pile of junk laying over here as well that are kind of like, you can see where they went over it. You can't really make it out too well. And there's something right here in the ground, right there smack dab in the middle. And they did everything they could to either try to cover it up or it got covered up. But either way, when you back out of this, this is off, way off on the left-hand side, you don't see these things. And this one is even, it's still noticeable in the photo, the original. It's right there, smack dab in the photo. And of course, this one is not so much. There's something else in the background here. Something right here, but again, you can't make these things out. Just bring the lines out of the photo. So from the newcomers, what do you folks think? Pure pareidolia, or do you think it's, you know, are you seeing the same thing? Let me see if let me do this. Let me move myself here. Move yourself. There we go. Leave myself right down in the lower corner. The yeah, who just said that? Eric Gower, you said that. 1975 Nova under the yellow arrow. I don't know what it is, truthfully. I don't know. I can tell you that that looks like vehicles to me. And if you have something over here, and again, on the left, on the lower left, what that is, and there's something right there, like I said, it's more like a box-like type thing underneath this manipulation slash, you know, actual ground and sand, whatever. But this one here in the upper right, and then they seem to be lined up 1, 2, 3. Of course, you can't make these other two out. And then, of course, you got the one here on the hill. This looks like it washed down or it's on top of a hill. And they really tried to take it out. Picture all of this white on the side of this one here, on the upper right. Take all that garbage out of there and actually see the real photo. I'm telling you right now, these were like vehicles. And because this one's further away, it looks much smaller. Or it's just a smaller vehicle, period. Because you can see this one's here, and this one's off in the back. To the left, it's a little more off to the back. Let me see here. Let's see. Philosophical, you said, Chris, if there are regular cars on Mars, that is really a proof that there might be a sort of U.S. government and European government doing some scientific work on Mars. It's that, or like I said, we don't know if this is, you know, at one point there was life on Mars and it was very similar to what we have here. And that would kind of make sense if that's true, of course. If it's true, we don't know. No, maybe this is Mickey's. Mickey D's. She said, ooh, Subway drink. This is Mac, the old McDonald. Whitebeard Sky Daddy said, thing about pareidolia is you need to be brain dead to not know it's pareidolia. Well, and that's the thing. And to me, I go, when I think pareidolia, they always say like a bunny in the clouds. In other words, you're not seeing detail. What you're seeing is an outer shape of such bunny, right? That makes sense. You know, like they say, oh, I see Pluto the dog, and, you know, things like that. But when you actually see real details in something, meaning the whole object has details and not just an outer shape of something, well, that gets a little bit more non-pareidolia, as far as I'm concerned. Mars Sketchy said, there's a vehicle in just about every pan. Yeah, I mean, it's either that or a structure, right? Yeah, I'm glad you're here too, Flux Capacity. He said, happy to see you, Chris. Miss Hurd says, looks like cars to me. I mean, I don't know any other way to explain that. I just don't. Just seen it. It just jumped on me here. Somebody was asking about... Sean, you said you can even see the headlights. Yeah, it does. You can see it right there on that. What that looks like, that Jeep thing. Jeep, if you will. Noodles, you said Jean Ward found it. It's at 947 of John Michael Gaudier's 10 unsettling alien technostructures that could be very close. A probe guiding an asteroid leaves no fingerprints. Interesting. Oliver Klein, there are remains of old lowrider wars on Mars. Yeah. Dustin Weatherby, what's going on? You said, good to see you, brother. Good to see you in there too, Dustin. That's awesome that you're here, like everyone else. That's cool. Tony Introvert says, first Earth? That's what I'm saying. I don't know. There's a lot of things we don't know about Mars. Even if you were to say, okay, I don't believe the one here on the top, right? Okay, but still, how do we have two things that look like very similar to what we have here on Earth? Unless something on Mars was very similar to what's on Earth. It's as simple as that. And like I said, the one here, I'll put it in the middle of the screen, that one there is actually visible in this pan. You don't have to do a thing to it. The only reason why I would like bring out the lines and anything that's a darker thing, just bring it out. You start to see the other one here on the right. It looks like something buried up to its door, or this is just manipulation, which I believe that it is. You can see like the blurring here and in the back of it and everything else, or front, call it what you will. Something's there that looks very similar to what we have here on Earth. It's the only way to say it, you know. Great question, Hillbilly Tarzan. He said, why do they even use the photos of Mars that are completely covered but still able to be uncovered? Why not just use a totally fake picture? Sometimes I think we're being pushed into a narrative. And that's not something I haven't wrestled with either, Hillbilly, because I'm going to tell you what. I've thought about the same thing. I'm going, what gives? But here's the thing. How many people do you know that tear apart a photo like this? Think about it. That bring out the lines that are like being hidden in the photo. I don't know anybody who does. I know people who are doing some enhancements. They will do that, yes. And they do a fantastic job of it. They will do that. But a lot of them will just go, let's say, I'm going to use this as an example. Like this small thing right here in the middle of the screen, that could be, looks like a mini pipe. In other words, they're not doing anything to bring out the lines and bring out much more that's in the photo. If I was to take, like, okay, we'll just, right behind this arrow. See all this blurring? I believe there's much more to this photo, to be honest with you. I think this, you can see where they got a, because it is a panorama. So they did have a slice right here. You can see it right there. We don't know if this thing's much higher in this background, and they're just hiding it. We don't know what's behind these objects. So even if these aren't what we think they are, they're sure in hell not natural. We can tell that by looking at it. You know, I always make a joke and I say, I don't care if it's Humpty Dumpty. It's still not natural, no matter how you look at this. So when I see this blurring, and let's say there's a square box and you can just barely see the outline of that square box because they put blur over it. All I do is just bring it out so you can bring that shape back out of it. That's all you're doing. And you see these weird shapes come out. That's all you do to these photos. You don't do anything else. You don't draw it in. You don't, you know, oh, I'll just make it look like that was there. No. The viewer is not stupid. The viewer can look at this and go, okay, I can see a total difference from the original to this one. In other words, it looked like you added this piece, and clearly it's not. When I did this video, and I think it was the, what did I say it was? I'm trying to remember what the title to that one was. I think the smoking gun of, I don't know, the smoking gun video or something like that of Mars or something like that. But when I did this, I went back and forth. We could still see the shape of this one on the right as well as the one on the left. And like I said, the one on the left is more noticeable. But I don't, Sean. You said, Chris, what about the size of the cars? Any idea? I don't. I wish I knew, because this goes off. If you look at this pier, this photo, it's really off in the distance. So these things could be pretty good size, or the size of that particular rover, if not bigger. I don't believe I have it. Let me see here. I got that other video too, by the way. We can bring that up too. Yeah, I don't think I had it. I have it on my hard drive. I got that literally put away. Let me see. I think this is the same one. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I've got it. It's on, like I said, it's on the hard drive. And we got 8,000 of these. Sweet. If it'll do it, it'd be nice. But anyway, I've done this before. I've showed you guys this photo more than once. I'm just doing this more or less for the newer people that have not seen this. Yeah, Mars Catcher, I don't know about that. You said, how many have seen clowns? What was the fascination with clowns? I don't know. I'm not sure. Josh D, I agree with you. You said the air pot, if washed out over exposure, very simple to do. Yeah. And I've seen a lot of people work like Photoshop, and they can easily take that out, right? So, yeah, I believe exactly you're spot on. Mimi Reacts, you said it looks very much like eroded structures. Well, that could be too. I mean, they just have an uncanny look like vehicles to us, at least what we have here on Earth. But you could see things like on the sides of these objects. And like I said, I believe all of this right here, if you're looking into the skyline just over the edge of this crater wall, if you will, who knows? These things could have been way up on the top and then washed over and down into this area, and they just, of course, stopped where they're at. But I believe there's a lot more in the sky that is standing up higher than, you know, we don't see any of it. And that goes for just about every photo I've ever seen that's in these Martian photos, right? Renee V said in a video by Jean Ward, I also recognize a car, say something like those flying cars from The Fifth Element. Yes. Remember I did one a while back too. It almost looked like the occupant was still in it. Remember up on the top of the hill, it looked like he was like this in the back and just like sitting in the seat, and it looked like some kind of weird vehicle. And that again was way up on the back of a mountain. Folks, listen. Picture yourself, these people who have doctored these photos up. Again, how many people are literally ripping these pictures apart? They will look at the photos, they will show the anomalous stuff in them, sure, 100%, and couldn't agree with them more. But when you start bringing out the lines and the stuff that's really hitting in here, how many people are doing this? That's what they're hoping. Nobody does it. They don't want people to scrutinize this. Just be a bunch of dumbed down public. Don't worry about what's in the photos. Just take a quick glance and then, just peruse over them and just go and just continue on. Don't worry about it. That's what they're hoping. They don't want you to scrutinize these photos. They don't want you to tear them apart. And most of the time, they'd rather have you just, like I said, just look it over and just, wow, that's cool, next, and go over it. They don't want you to look at these things. They don't want you to rip them apart. Miss Heard, yeah, I mean, you know what? It's not like we haven't thought about that too, right? Because you said, I think that perhaps NASA has put these cars in the rover imagery as a huge joke. Or, because again, if you look at this original pier, you'll see the rover, I believe it's Spirit, Opportunity. You see the rover sitting, it's in the very bottom of this crater, and it's looking way off on the left. Well, if you look at the pan, if you look way off on the left, that's where you see this. So in other words, if you didn't look at this thing, you didn't zoom in and scrutinize. The only reason why I seen this was this area right here, which looks like has nothing in it. But believe it or not, there was actually another one. I wish I could go back to the video, the very first one, which you guys can probably do. But I think I had crappier software back then, so it wasn't the best. But there was actually what looked like another vehicle down in the middle of this so-called flat section. So in other words, once you brought the lines out of it, it looked like there's another vehicle here in the middle of this. But this is the area that kind of directed me right to it when I looked at this. I was like, And that's when I saw this one here in the middle. I was like, what the hell is that? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Kathleen, Karaher, I guess I'm pronouncing that correctly. That's all different shapes, ones, but all work the same. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't know. There's several of these photos that I've done that you just get scratching your head, like the one I did where it looks like a whole area, like if you were in a completely decimated city that was at war. And you can see things that fell down and stuff like that, and all over the background or all around the rover where it's looking. And it looks like a devastated city and things that are all in it. It just doesn't make sense. But when you see photos like this, you see photos like that, even if we're wrong, and it's just part of structures or some kind of weird thing, it's not natural. What the hell's it doing on Mars? You still have to question it no matter what. Alien Tenno, what's going on? Good to see you in there. He said, we can prove the deception. Yep. Yeah, there you go, Oliver. We need photos from Mars, press release. So go to the trash yard. Go to the trash yard and take some pictures. There you go. Yeah, it's like, yeah, we'll just make it look like it's a mountainside. But again, if you guys have ever noticed, it's always something off in the distance. You ever notice that? It's almost like they go into the objects or look at the objects, look them over, then back way out, and then they take a photo. So that the average person looking at these photos could go, I don't see anything in it. You really can't see anything in it. It's literally weird. So it's always something off in the distance. I don't know how many times you folks have said, would they just drive up to the thing already? You can almost guarantee they have. Whatever it is. You can bet they've driven up to it. Now, even if they didn't drive up to these, because it does come, this is quite high on a hill. If you look at it, it pretty much goes up. And if you've seen it from the distance, you go, okay, is it possible they went all the way directly under it and took a picture of it up, looked at these things at different angles? I'm sure they have. 100%. Oh, let me see. A little bigger there. But yeah, I mean, Just really, really cool stuff. Josh D, you said, let's see. In connection with the possibility of a stunt by NASA, I found the city on the coast you found more appealing than this one. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not just this one, right? There's many others. And when you look at it, you just go, okay, I'm seeing this on this photo, seeing the stuff in this photo, and you grab it all together, going, it just screams there was life on this planet. It's as simple as that. It's just crazy, some of the stuff that's out there, right? Let me see. Backyard Astronaut, what's going on? Good to see you in there. He said, good evening, Chris, from Holland. What's going on? Good to see you in there, man. Let's... Yeah, that's true. Anything's a possibility. You know that, Noodles, right? The way that NASA is, you said NASA may be a giggle factory, leaking the mild oddities, withholding the wild confirmations. Mm-hmm. Oops. Renee V's, cool background. Yeah, I've had that one on for a while. I gotta put something different on there. Metalhead, what's going on? He said, wow, where have I been? Oh, it's where have I been? I'm sure you guys have been around. Casper's Toolbox. Love your vids, mate. Thank you. Well, I appreciate that. We'll say Casper's. Toolbox, yeah, good to have you in, and I appreciate that. John Cordes, you said air was breathable. Oh, absolutely. That was definitely a civilization. Everything, you know, and I believe there's still, if you and I went up there, they say that the oxygen, any oxygen would be closest to the surface of Mars. I think we can all walk around there and still breathe. Now, you might have some difficulties if it is, in fact, the atmosphere is pretty much gone. It's still a little bit of atmosphere, but almost gone. Then, yeah, you might have an issue at night where it gets colder, but that's not a problem. You just go underground and it has a consistent temperature at any time of the day or night. Let me see something if I can find that. Probably will mess with this. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do it that way. Yeah, I'm the same with you. I'm with you on this one, Ms. Hurd. You said it is super hard to believe that American-made cars, per what a few folks here stated, are on Mars. Yes, and that's why when I see this, I'm going, you try to get your mind wrapped around it, right? Because again, you know, what were you taught in school? What did you hear, even up to this point, before you started watching any video on YouTube about anything to do with Mars? When you start seeing these things, you're going, nah, that's not true. That's not there. And yet, there they are. So, you know, I've heard everything from, let's see, they took pictures here on Earth and put them on there. I went, but what is the point in that? Then you know, either way, they have to do some explaining, right? Like, why would you put that on here? Let's say you notice there was a part from, let's say there's a mountain literally in your backyard, like off in the distance. And you go, okay, I know that for a fact. There's a larger tree there, but they blurred all that, and you can just actually tell that was from here on Earth. You know, what would be the point? It's still going to stand out. You're still going to want to question Mars. You're still going to want to question NASA about these photos of Mars. So either way, they'd have to do some explaining. Now, will they? Probably never. So, and this is probably why they don't care if some of this stuff gets out. They're going, people will just think they're nuts. You know, they're Pareidolia to the max, so on and so forth. We don't care. You know what I mean? Let them hash it out. Because there's always going to be people, no, that's not true. Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. And they just let you hash it out. They don't care. And some people have stated, well, maybe they're just wondering, maybe they just want you to point this stuff out. I went, well, I don't believe that theory because the photo's already doctored. So clearly they've seen what's in the photo and what they're trying to hide from it. Things that are way off in the distance and not expecting you to see it. They're probably thinking, oh, they'll just take a quick glance. Oh, cool, wow, next. Oh, that's another cool photo, next. And you're not going to sit there and literally, again, rip them apart, right? Leslie Ann, you said they live underground. Oh, that I don't doubt. Because it would be the best thing to do anyway. You can, one, you can hide from the radiation. Two, if it gets too hot, you can literally, again, be underground. Gets too cold, you're still protected. And you can still have any kind of technology underground as long as you can get, maybe they use the sun as well. Maybe they use solar panels. Who knows, right? You use solar panels, you can have this all day long, charging up, and at night you run all your stuff. Doesn't have to be anything big and exotic. Just has to be something you can run and, you know, whatever technology they have. Who knows? Still getting sun there. Oh, okay, gotcha, Casper, the toolbox. Sorry, Casper is my puppy. Oh, cool. All right. That clears things up a little bit. Just a little bit. Back out astronaut said, doing great. Happy to be able to be on time. Well, I appreciate you being here, man. That's cool. Whitebeard Sky Daddy says, one of us, oh, I'm sorry, what the hell? Hold on. Put it back in the middle where it was at. Most of us here have seen the incredible things waiting on Mars bases. Apparently, of some purpose, city grids, walled villages, complex after complex built into the hills and cliffs. Yeah, I mean, it's unmistakable. Again, it's one thing to see straight line. That's erosion, whether it's water or air, so on and so forth. It's BS. In other words, it's completely natural. Then there's things we go, okay, up, 90-degree angle, around, straight across, and I mean straight across, not wavy, straight across, another 90-degree angle, round circles inside the square, so on and so forth. You go, okay, I can go with one straight line. I can go with even 90-degree angles. I don't care about that. But now you have multiple, all in a line. We've done videos where we've seen things all in a line. So you go, okay, so one straight line, 90-degree angles, pfft, you can just dismiss it. Then you start getting a bunch of other things together. There's some things you can dismiss and some things you just can't. At least your mind won't let it go. You're kind of like, okay, this doesn't make any sense. It's really, there's something clearly on this planet. It's as simple as that. Adam Light edits. He said, not many have seen unmanipulated images. You're right about that. A lot of people have not seen. I've never seen one that was not, you know, messed around with, manipulated in some, or censored in some way, you know, shape or form. Same thing with the moon photos, though, right? You know, if you think, like I said this before, you're NASA or the higher-ups, even higher than them. You see something on the moon, clearly it's not natural. Get up there now, get it done, tell NASA, make it happen, get some people up there. Well, the Soviet Union at the time gets wind of this as well, okay? We have plans to, you know, first of all, we got to make up plans. We got to go to, we got to send people up, you know, of course, the first real one with men to actually land on the moon is Apollo 11. 9 and 10 would basically circle around the moon and finding landing sites. And when you stop and you think about 11, you go, okay, so they had to build all this stuff, train these men, get them up there, get them in, you know, build a spacecraft, get them in there, get them to the moon. Soviet Union at the time built their Lunokhod rovers. They didn't want to send man for whatever reason. I don't even care. But they don't have to worry about losing a life. They send up basically a rover, an 8-wheeled electric rover, kind of like our Curiosity, only ours is 6 wheels, right? They send it up. They got solar panels. They got like a big hood that opens up on this thing. It takes photos. It sends it back to Earth, to them. They didn't want to pick anything up. They just wanted photos. And this thing traveled, I forget how far, but one of them traveled, I mean, the thing traveled for a good distance. And then, I don't know if it just quit working, and they didn't care. They just went, as long as we get the information for ourselves, we're happy. So who's ever went to the moon is privy to the information. It's as simple as that. So it's not like we didn't know about it, right? It's not like, well, at least our governments. It's not like they were unaware of what's on the moon. So, and they did everything they could to censor out, hide things on the moon. So why would they not hide things on Mars? It just doesn't make any sense. Hillbilly Tarzan, he said, I feel that if they had to hide underground from the sun and atmosphere, they'd be here or somewhere else where they wouldn't have to live like that. Well, it's kind of like us. If we had the same thing happen to our planet, right? Now, if there's a pending doom, they probably would do everything they can to get off the planet and go to Mars because they got a lot better chance of making it, right? But if they didn't and all this stuff went down, like... you had some major issues. You're going, okay, it's probably going to, let's say an asteroid coming. It's pretty much going to wipe this planet out. What do? Well, we can live underground, and I know we have a lot more, because if you ever looked up DUMBs, deep underground, these, bunkers and all of these tunnels going from like west coast to east coast, all over underneath the ground, you could literally still travel underground and nobody'd be none the wiser. So let's say everything stopped, driving and everything else on the surface, you'd still be able to, there'd be things traveling underneath you you would know nothing about, have no clue. So you would still function, but, very scarcely, of course. There'd be hardly anybody on the planet, and only the other people that were safe went underground, they'd be okay. So maybe they're doing the same thing, and after so many years, stuff started to regrow, like, again, plant life and other things. There's other animals running around, things flying in the air, whatever. And who knows? Maybe there's a lot more to that, above ground as well than we think. Okay. Oops. Hate when this thing then. Whitebeard Sky Daddy said the old Cold War attitude of ultra secrecy is what permeates governments. It has to go. Then they place ownership upon such thing. Well, and it's like it makes you wonder, will they ever divulge it unless, of course, something really slips out? In other words, somebody higher up slips up something solid, like, no, these are the actual photos of Mars, or this is what's really on the moon, meaning undoctored, unmessed with, uncensored, and they just went, here it is. And they had no other choice but to just come clean and say, okay, we screwed up. It's as simple as that. So, and they have not. That's what sucks. Andromeda Native, I didn't even see you creeping there. What's going on? Good to see you in there. He said, how selfish of them. Yeah. Metalhead, you said John Lair had very clear originals of the moon. And now, you know what? I love a lot of his stuff. He had a lot of good stuff. And a lot of people would knock him, and it's just wrong. Because, of course, if one of them's trying to follow suit what he's doing, then obviously, oh, he's a joke, and he's this and that and the other, and I'm better than he is. It's like, listen, he had the original stuff, so you can knock him if you want, but he had some really close-up good stuff. I guess Mick just took off. He said, have a good Sunday, everyone. You do the same, Mick. Good to see you in there. I guess the thing jumped at me quite a bit. I'm like, where did all these other things come from? I didn't even see this. Oliver Klein, halfway to the moon is an asteroid with a sign on it. Military area, keep off. John Cordish, he said, let me explain how we got around on Mars. Yeah, absolutely. The house I have there has a landing pad 12 by 12. Okay. That's another thing, too. How do we know that, because when the way John just said this, how do we know it wasn't similar to like land speeders on Star Wars, right? In other words, they were like a hovercraft, like high-tech hovercraft. How do we know these vehicles didn't perform somewhere like that? Maybe it wasn't all things with like a wheel or something like that. How do we know? That's another thing, right? Astronomers deduced the origins of fast radio bursts based on 2,000 burst observations. We may be a step closer to knowing where the mysterious space phenomenon come from. Just drop down there. Let's see. Astronomers observed nearly 2,000 bursts from the fast radio burst, or FRBs, called FRB 202011124A. A press statement reveals. Using a computer model to analyze the burst, they found that they might have originated from a complex magnetized site, which, okay. The new findings published in the journals on Nature and Nature Communications could help the global astronomical community to better understand these types of sites and how they may produce FRBs. Their work could help to map out and better understand one of the great mysteries of astronomy. Investigating fast radio burst. Fast radio bursts are pulses of radio frequency electromagnetic radiation. Several hundred FRBs have been found since the first one was discovered in 2007. The nature of the phenomenon is shrouded in mystery, leading some to speculate that it may originate from intelligent extraterrestrial civilization. Recently, observations of galactic fast radio bursts from inside the Milky Way suggest some of the phenomena originate from magnetars, a type of neutron star with an incredible powerful magnetic field. However, the origin of cosmological FRBs, which are observed at a massive distance from Earth, remains unknown. Okay, so I get that if it's in one area, it's like, let's say there's one star or a neutron star, as they claim, or they state rather, it's literally pulsing. Well, then you'll get that split second of a burst, and it makes perfect sense, absolutely. But the way they describe it's coming from there. It's 400,000 light years away. This one's only 50,000. That one's 1.5 million. And they're all in different directions. Now, it's possible all of these neutron stars could be doing that because our universe is ever-changing. However, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities that it couldn't be intelligent extraterrestrial civilizations. Because like I said, it could be communications, and we just don't know how to, understand it, dissect it, decipher it. You know, if it's super fast, like I said, I even joked about it. I said it's probably like a galactic newspaper. The only difference is you receive it, it just puts it down in the computer. It's like terabytes of information from all over the universe. We don't know. No idea. To me, I don't think they should write it off. And I don't think that you could tell that they're deeply interested in this, because there's got to be something to it. Other people are thinking the same, and it's not just simple, it's not like some kind of incredible, powerful magnetic field, as they claim, right? So who knows? In the Nature paper, astronomer KJ Lee and a team detailed how they've used the first 100-meter aperture spherical radio telescope, or FAST, in China to observe FRB, and of course 202.01124A. They detected 1,863 bursts over the course of 82 hours, spreading over 54 days. According to the scientists, the high rate of burst makes their target one of the most active FRBs observed to date. Now, here's the thing. Some of them do it every 16 hours. It's kind of like Old Faithful here on Earth, right? It's like clockwork. It's like, it just shows, every 16 hours or every 6 hours. Some of them are right on point, perfect timing. How is that possible? You would think if it's something natural, meaning a neutron star or something, it's just going to be a random act. For it to be that way, like smack dab, perfect timing every single time, is that possible, folks? What do you guys think? Do you think that it's a possibility you can still do that in nature, or do you think differently? The researchers observed irregular, short-time variation of magnetic field strength of separate bursts during the first 36 days of monitoring the FRB. After that point, they noted a constant Faraday rotation measure used to measure magnetic field strength. Okay, so there is some things obviously that are natural, right? Their findings provide evidence of complex magnetized region of space located within an astronomical unit, the distance between Earth and the Sun, of the FRB source. The team of astronomers also noted a few important observations regarding the region of Milky Way-sized metal-rich galaxy where the FRB is located. Saying FRB. So they're concentrating on the FRB, the one that's 2020, blah, 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 blah. They pointed out that the region has a low stellar density, and that it would be unusual for a young magnetar formed during the explosion of a star to be located in that region. So my only thing is, and I'll give you the whole page because actually there's more to it, a little bit. You can see it right there. For me, they're coming from all different, areas. So is it possible that's what's going on, right? Is it all natural, or is there something more to it? Metalhead taking off. What? Where did he go? I didn't even see Andrew Cole in there. What's going on, Andrew Cole? So good to see you all again. Been a long time. Yes, it has. Glad to see you in there. I guess Metalhead was taking off. Well, if he is, it's good to have you in anyway, Metalhead, and good to see you there. Russell Romeg, didn't we try to make an FRB with a, I think he meant Hadron Collider, about 10 or so years ago? They were trying to smash a couple atoms and trying to see if they can find, like, basically new territory for these things, right? Or try to create, or they said they found the particles. They were trying to smash those. And, of course, they had what they found with the God particle. So they're just trying to see what kind of results they get out of these things, right? I'm not so sure about an FRB, but that doesn't mean it couldn't have been created, right? Well, at least they tried. Steve Garnham, what's going on? Good to see you in there. If you guys hadn't hit the thumbs up, please do so. It is always appreciated. Marina Rapan, what's going on? He said, finally a hangout. Thank you. Have been waiting for it. Well, good to see you in there. Marina, good to have you in there as well. Yeah, it does say it right there. And is it gotta go? Now this is with Gordon Cooper. If you guys haven't seen this, this is from Unknown Boundaries. So credit goes to them for actually putting this thing up here. Astronaut Gordon Cooper tells of witnessing a fleet of hundreds of UFOs and disappearing evidence. So, and if you can see right here, Gordon Cooper was one of the 7 original U.S. Project Mercury astronauts to propel humankind into space. Witnessed several extraordinary UFO sightings in his long career as a test pilot and astronaut. So, I'll play this for you. And again, credit goes to, I guess it's posted in by Chet Dembeck. So I'm going to play that for you guys. You guys can check that out yourselves. Pretty cool. Let me see here. Okay.
You said you saw literally.
I want to bring this up here.
Literally hundreds of unidentifiable flying objects.
Yes, they were flying quite high. How high we couldn't tell because we couldn't get anywhere near their altitude. But they were either very large craft way up or smaller craft still well above what we could get to.
For a day and a half, all of this happened. But then no one wanted to talk about it.
Well, we sent a report forward on it, and the answer that finally came back months later was they were probably high-flying seed pods, which didn't sound very logical.
While supervising flight testing in Edwards Air Force Base, his military camera crew actually filmed an unidentified saucer-shaped object landing near the site.
As they were sitting there filming, a little saucer came from, I say little saucer, it was a saucer, came flying over their heads, put down 3 little landing gear and landed right out on the dry lake bed. And they picked up their cameras and started over toward it, filming as they went. And when they got in fairly close to it, it lifted up, put the gear back in the wheel wells, tipped up, and took off at a great rate of speed. And so they came into my office and told me what had happened, and I sent them over to develop the film. And then had to go through all the proper regulations of reporting this. And we wound up having to send the film forward to Washington in the base jet airplane. And I don't know whether anyone's ever seen it since.
Now, the vehicle that you just described, how similar was it to the very first sighting that you had back in 1951?
Quite similar. It was basically the same plan-form vehicle. They were double saucer, lenticular. But if you're going to be going in and out of atmospheres like Earth or other places might have, you certainly need a little more aerodynamic type of vehicle. And the saucer has the capability of going through the air at tremendous rates of speed and handling the bow and trailing wave without making shock waves. So it can be very silent while traveling at big rates of speed through the atmosphere. A friend of mine who's a captain on a major airline at night was flying along, noticed this. Suddenly a big glow came off his left wing, and he looked out and this big saucer was sitting right off their wing. And so he turned, slide toward, and it moved away, and turned back, and it moved back in position, and turned to his co-pilot and said, do you see what I see? And he said, oh, God, yeah, I do. And it trailed along with him for quite a period of time, then tipped up, climbed very steeply away. Was on Jim McDivitt's Gemini 7 mission, where they saw this glint of something metallic off in the distance. And he reported it, and nobody had it listed on the ground, so he tried getting a picture of it, but the sun, unfortunately, was glinting off of it so bright. All you got is just a glint. There was no detail on what it was, but never any further sighting at all on it. Well, the letter to the UN was in conjunction with a meeting that I had with Kurt Waldheim and the Security Council of the UN to try to encourage the UN to establish a committee to start comparing notes and data and information, and to really look into all of this from an unbiased, neutral point of view.
Here's a quote from your letter. I believe that these extraterrestrial vehicles and their crews are visiting this planet from other planets and are obviously a little more advanced than we are here on Earth. And are you saying that's exactly why governments have been trying to keep this information private, because of that obvious advancement?
Very possibly, right.
Oh, yeah. Good possibility. Now, some of you folks have said, you know, that could be hours, right? And it still could very well be. I thought it was kind of funny when he said, well, yeah, it brought the wheels back up and put it back up in the craft. Now, it could have been just landing feet, you know what I mean? Just retracted them. But I thought that was funny when he said that. But, I mean, these guys, you notice they wouldn't have said this when they were younger. They said this when they were, you know, much older, and fear that either A, they could be ridiculed, or B, who knows, killed off, or, you know, lost their job, wouldn't have had a life after that. They would have been completely trashed, you know. So I kind of get that, you know. But, you know, this is an astronaut. You know these guys have seen all kinds of kids. Again, if he's in the Gemini, you know, when they were during those missions, or the Mercury rather, when they were during those missions, you know, they're literally out in orbit of Earth, and they're just kind of like looking around. They can see these things all over the place, and they're probably going, okay. And, you know, if you go back to, you know, the days, those years, we didn't have a whole lot of technology, or at least public didn't think so, and that we would have such crafts. So are they ours, or are they coming in from somewhere else? Now, obviously, if like people like Gordon Cooper, if they had seen this, and they seen it literally come from outer space to Earth, clearly that's not ours. Unless we've had this technology for a long time, and we're just kind of like out and about and doing our thing and coming back to Earth, and he just happened to witness it. I don't know. Who knows? Noodles, you said Coop knows the score. The players in the game. Yep. John P. Adventures, what's happening? Good to see you in there. He said, we'll lose a job. Yeah. Josh D said, rather revealing interview. I mean, like I said, these guys, you know, who are you going to listen to? The government itself, or these guys here who've probably seen it all? The astronauts, obviously, you know. I haven't been there. I wasn't out in space. All I can say is, I'm going to believe these guys before I believe the government. It's nobody. Don't worry about it. Andrew Cole, thank you very much for your support. It's always appreciated. He said, wish it could be more. Don't even worry about it. Miss your incredible content. You'll hit the mother load, but time may be against us as mass internet outages are coming. There may be significant slip up before the end. Yeah, I mean, but the way I look at it, it'll always get out somehow, and that's what it's all about. Get the information out, whether it's us, somebody else, it'll come out one way or the other. Just wish it'd be quicker, right? And I agree with you. What is that? Wow, it's still $9. Noodles, you were talking to Steve. You said gas is $9 a gallon? Really? Where's that at? Good God. It's dropped like a rock here considerably. Well, it was what? Well, at one time would have hit like $5, whatever it was. Whatever the heck it was. But the, hell, it's down to, last time I paid for gas was $3.19. So it's coming down. But you know why that is, right? Because I know everybody's going to stop paying higher gas and electric bills for just to heat their house. Slick. Let me see. Whoops. Hey. Oh, I'm just going to try to find this for you folks. Hold on. Let me do that. Let's see. All right, so let me see here. I found your channel, John Cordes. I found your channel. I'm going to leave the link to it so people can check it out. Now, I think you've got what? Got like 15 videos, I guess. So he's just starting out, getting this thing kicked out, and he's basically telling stories about this. And it's like anywhere between what, a little over, right around roughly around 5 minutes a piece, which is good. So I'll drop a link so everybody can check this out. Because again, he's telling his story about what happened to him. Well, if I can get it right, it would be great. I hit the wrong damn button by accident. It might be. So I'll give you folks the link to his channel, and then you can check it out. I'm going to put this back the way this was. I'm going to drop the link right now. You guys can check it out, and there it is. King Bogart, what's going on? He said, always respected Cooper. He was a straight shooter. He was. And this guy was not stupid. This guy was intelligent. Good man. And you can always tell people and they're like, just kind of blowing smoke. But this guy was actually legit as far as I was concerned. And of course, you guys will get the links to all of these. You guys know that. I love this one here. NASA's InSight hears its first meteoroid impacts on Mars. I'm going, okay, so let's say they knew or they could see, unless there's literally got a telescope directly pointing at Mars at all times, how do they know that they saw hits from like 3 of these, and yet it recorded at the same time and it was those particular ones? Now, I don't know if it was exactly right on the spot or really close to it. The Mars lander's seismometer has picked up vibrations from 4 separate impacts in the past 2 years. How do they know that's what it is? That's what I think is funny. And I'll play you a video bite of that, or audio bite. Let me see here. I should be right around... Okay, stop. I should be right around here. Sound on. And it's the way they have this thing. Get rid of that. Okay. I'll play this for you guys, and you guys can tell me what you think. Let me shut off my mic, because what it'll do is it'll literally... And we don't want that. So that's the sound of it. Whoop, whoop, whoop. It's like you hear, and then you hear, I'm like, okay. How do they know that was exactly that? Now, they did say they had the MRO go over that area and actually film it. So I thought that was, well, take snapshots, not filming, because it make it sound like they're actually literally recording as it impacted. But I don't know how they think it's exactly them 3 or 4. Could very well, because they did say within, 2 years or whatever it was, right? So I'm just trying to figure, if Mars gets bombarded that often, how do they know that happened to be that particular strike? I don't know. But I think there's more going on, because we've played other videos and audio bites from the InSight, and it had some really weird sounds. It almost sounds like something's underground. And you can hear it traveling from afar and then coming right underneath and then leaving, but they claim, no, it's not that at all. It's wind. It could be wind shear against the seismograph or a seismometer or the actual craft, meaning the lander. So that's a possibility. But the other one that was like, kept clanging, remember, it's just dang, 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 and just, it's like, what is going? I don't think their explanations are too accurate as far as I'm concerned. Patrick Owen, what's happening? Hi, Chris. Happy October. And hi, friends in the chat. It's been a while. I'm glad to make the chat. Well, glad to see you here, Patrick. That's awesome. Yeah, it's already freaking October. You know what the funny part about it is? I don't know about you folks, but here it usually stays warm for a while into, even up to Halloween and stuff like that. And I'm like, it's been chilly. I mean, 62, maybe a high. The lows have been anywhere between 50s and in the 40s. I'm like, we could have like Indian summer at some point. It'd be great. Because it's like right off the bat, for the first time, it was like the other day, I started putting the heat on in the morning. I would just tell Alexa to turn it on. I'd say, turn the heat on. Boom, she'd just come on. And so when you get up, you feel comfortable. And then just shut it off during the day and let the sun warm the house up. But I'm like, where's the darn heat at? Where's the Indian summer? It's crazy. Mimi Reaction said, sounds like a submarine. Yeah. Is this the drop, drop, drop? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just, every time you hear these weird audio, it's like, now, I'm not saying it could not be what they're saying it is. What I'm saying is that there's some things that may be otherwise. Like this one, you can be misconstrued as anything, right? You could say whatever you want that it is. But some of these things, like I said, when you hear that, like, oh, it's a wind thing, and you just hear something like literally sounding like it's coming under and traveling under that thing, under the lander, I don't know. There could be other explanations, I'm sure. Noodles, you said $2.39.9 per liter times 4.3 to a gallon. Okay. Yeah, ours has been dropping. I don't know if yours has been dropping as far as fuel-wise, but I'm thankful for that. But like I said, they know this. Everything's going to start going up in like your bills, your heat bills. So they're going, oh yeah, we'll have to drop this. How weird is that? It just happens to be dropping at the same time. Now I don't know about you folks, but we were going to fly out, maybe go back up to the original home and visit some family. I'm going, good God, man. You know, I understand why the flights have gone up because of fuel for themselves. So they obviously, you know, the consumer is going to actually absorb that cost. But I'm going, okay, it's starting to drop. Why isn't it the actual price dropping for friggin' plane tickets? It's like you got to get a year out in order to get a good price. It's just ridiculous. Steve Gottman said, we had a cold September in the UK. Should be nice and warm. Exactly. It's just, I don't know. White Bear Skydad, you know, Chris, they probably are recording it in video. There just isn't enough bandwidth to transmit it back to Earth. They claim. Yeah, I think there's much more than that. I think they got like quantum communications link up to those things, and they can almost see it in real time. Now, obviously, there's always a delay in transmission, of course, right? But if you have quantum communications, they claim it's a lot faster, within seconds as opposed to minutes, anywhere between 5 and 20 minutes, depending on the location of Mars, further or closer to Earth. So, you know, to me, it just seems like if you've got quantum communications, it's almost like just a delay in information, especially if they're using you know, laser communications, right? And it's kind of hard to tell what they got nowadays. You really can't tell. But even if they're not, let's just say they're just taking video bites like from, you know, Mars itself, and they're just sending it. So in other words, they don't have to do live, obviously, but even, you know, some of the things, like I said, as far as the recordings from these landers, or this particular lander, I don't know. It's so questionable about some of the recordings that I've seen. In fact, I've kept them myself just because, you know. Huge unexpected solar storm smashes into Earth from mystery source. Now this is from 9/27, so we're talking what, a few days ago, 5 days ago, whatever it was. And let me see here. Let me shut this off. I don't think there's any actual sounds out. It's just music. Yeah, we can do without it. Just read it. But they're claiming it might be some, I don't know if it's a CME, like an invisible CME before the actual CME, which really is weird. Nope. Earth was buffeted by a huge solar storm late on September 26th through to this morning. And of course, this was on, I said this earlier, this was put on 27. So get rid of that. At around 10 p.m. UTC, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, on September 26th, the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, Space Station Weather Prediction Center, or the SWPC, released a space weather alert stating that the geomagnetic K index of 4 was expected, which is not super high, but it's mild, right? Essentially an indication that Earth's magnetic field was being very mildly affected by some solar activity. Within a couple of hours of the SWPC's alert was updated to warn of a K5 storm, then a K6. And by 2:17 a.m. UTC on September 27th, an alert for a K index of 7 or greater was issued. So this equates to a strong geomagnetic storm that has the potential to trigger alarms on the most powerful system protection devices. Let me just go ahead and put this back on. And I'll just put this down a little bit. Cause increased drag and orientation problems for satellites, intermitting GPS navigation issues, and spark auroras in the U.S. states from Pennsylvania to Iowa and Oregon, the SWPC said. The K index is a physical measure of the strength of geomagnetic storms, which are the result of material from the sun disrupting Earth's magnetic field, causing power grid issues, radio signal disruption, and more. It seemed to me, too, like around that day, one of those days, I remember, I don't know if you guys had the same problem, because it was probably coincidental, because I was listening to like XM satellite in my car, and for some reason it was like coming in super lousy. And I mean, it was like almost like a pixelation in your TV when you get a bad satellite signal. But mine was like in and out, and I'm like, what is going on right now? I thought maybe it was the radio, so I shut it off, waited about 5 seconds, turned it back on, and to no avail. It was still the same way. So I don't know. But pretty strange. This is actually a few days ago, maybe 4 or 5 days ago. A K index of less than 4 is typically not worth mentioning, while a K index of 9 would be very rare, extreme solar event. So you can see they were talking about going from a K index of 7 or greater. So, the SWPC said that the K7 storm warning was valid until 9 a.m. UTC on the morning of September 27. According to enthusiasts monitoring the events, it isn't clear what exactly is causing the space weather, but it appears to be significant a significant event. Honestly, I'm scratching my head as to how these numbers are so high, wrote one user in the forums of Space Weather Live solar activity website in the early hours of September 27th. So yeah, what you can see here, they got there. You see where this person here said something is brewing in the near Earth a solar wind, where enhanced magnetic field and plasma parameters are being detected. We are likely being impacted by a high-speed stream, although we are still below 400 kilometers a second. Unclear at the moment whether a sneaky, weak CME is hiding ahead of it. So it's just really weird how just weird phenomenons happen, Oh, yeah. This is what we were talking about when NASA successfully crashed into an asteroid. These famous telescopes captured the effects. Now, let's see if I can get this bad boy where it was. You see as it's coming towards it, right, well, and it freeze it quick enough. Let's see if I can back it up just a hair. Right there in the very top right, you can see what looks like something square or some kind of megalithic kind of object just standing straight up. You guys see that? I can't zoom in because obviously we're in a video, but you can see that. Let me see. What is it? California proletarian. Been hauling ass to get home to jump on and say hello. Sorry I've missed so much. Hope you and yours are well, my friend. Well, I appreciate that. And yeah, we're doing well. Don't kill yourself getting home. That's not worth it. We want to see everybody alive. That'd be great. But yeah. Oh, I like the way you put that. Sean, he said, oops, and he retracted. Message retracted. But anyway, Valerian the Mac 3, what's going on? Good to see you in there as well. Man, everybody's jumping in this bad boy. If anyone has forgotten to give it a thumbs up, please do so. And don't forget, after the video, you can always put like a little comment under there saying, man, that was awesome. Which a lot of you guys do anyway. So that's great. Steve Gottman, your question was, is the sun entering a cooling phase? I don't know, you know, you get that weird kind of cycle. Well, it's not a weird cycle, it's an 11-year cycle. 11 years that, you know, solar activity comes more and more higher as it reaches its peak at the 11th year, and then, of course, it starts to just die down. Now, there was times where you got nothing, barely any activity on the sun at all, and sometimes they get worried about that, which is kind of confusing, because they must think it's like an earthquake. They're just waiting for the big one to happen, right? Oops, let's move that aside. Whoops, set that over there. So yeah, it's weird how they go from like extremes, like, oh, there's no activity. Okay, we're a little scared. And then sometimes they're like, oh, what is that? You know, so, and it's like, now we got a big freaking CME coming our way. Brain drain, you said snow in Ontario, British Columbia, Montana, and the Rockies. Northeast wind for the last 2 months here in Ohio. Gas at $3.69. Man, I thought it'd be cheaper over in Ohio, because usually the closer I go, like if I go like almost to the edge of West Virginia, it gets cheaper. And somebody else said it too earlier. They said, "Hello, neighbor," and I guess they were in Charleston. I think I seen that. I don't remember who it was, but hello, neighbor. So, not sure what the deal is with that. As far as the weather and stuff, it's just kind of kooky. But gas is coming down, but your heating bill is not. So you're going to get slammed one way or the other, right? But getting back to this, if you notice on the very top, around the 1 o'clock position, this being 12 at the very top, right around the 1-ish position, it looks like these rectangular, like big block type things standing up. You can see 90-degree angles on top left and top right corners. Anybody else see that? I mean, it's not the clearest photo, obviously, but or video, I should say, but it is. California proletarian, you said, I've wondered who exactly is in charge of obfuscation of space images. CIA? I think it's the DOD, to be truthful with you. You know, the Department of Defense is going to pull all the strings for these guys, right? It's like, listen, you guys are allowed to show photos and everything, but block everything else out of it for the public. We want to see the real deal. You know, and I'm sure there's people that are in these CGI departments or the CGI department that probably have top-rate clearance that can see this stuff and can't say a word about it. I would love to be a fly on the wall in that room, but, you know, so you can bet that they're controlling all that, because the last thing they want to do is get that, have that come out, and then everybody's going to be like, oh, wow, there's life on another planet, which I don't get. And we've said this a million times. Why would anybody give a shit? If anything, I'd be excited to be like, yeah, show me more. I want to see more. But I guess when it comes to the higher-ups in these other countries, they don't want them to see it, because then what? Now there'll be another huge space race. Not that there isn't any more. We have Russia up there. We've got ourselves, of course, the United States. We got ESA, China. I mean, is it like this a whole bunch of them now going up there or orbiting or doing something to check out what's going on Mars? Why? It's a big, dusty, dead planet. Why does anybody give a shit? I mean, is it just me or just, I mean, how are people not, like, questioning this? Like, what's the big deal? There's nothing there to see, right? I don't get it. What's going on there, Goat Squeezer? Good to see you in there. Tony Introvert says, okay, I look to the left of this rock. I see it. Anybody else? Yeah, there's something else right here. This white object, there's actually two white objects. There's one here, right around the 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock position, and one right around the 12 o'clock position. It looks like something literally sticking out of this asteroid. So there's one piece here. It's got like kind of an oval shape with a black circle in the center, and then this object right there. Anybody else see that? And down here, it's just weird shapes. Like this one here. Look at this one right here on the bottom, just over the F on successfully. There's a line coming up that's like kind of slanted to the right, flat across the top, and then drops down to the left, going the same, almost the same angle. You guys see that? There's a lot of things in these rocks, and it's like, you know, there's like how many thousands upon thousands of asteroids are out there, but let's go seek this one out. It makes you just wonder, right? California Proletarian says that makes sense. I personally am inclined to believe that believe what we're seeing on the moon is a mining infrastructure, and the DoD is invested in keeping that secret a secret. Well, yeah, of course. Again, it's got to do with not just us. You go, why are they lying to the public? Well, we're just on a need-to-know basis, and clearly we don't. They're not going to let us know. What it comes down to is basically it's about the other governments knowing, not about us. They just go, whatever, they don't need to see shit anyway. Well, you know, let's just block out what we need to block out so other countries will also see these photos. It's not just us. So we have first dibs at it. In other words, they look at it, okay, and they have all their, you know, these parts of the NASA and DoD looking at these things. Okay, this is what we need to know. Of course, parts of NASA is going to have to know this because they have to CG it out for the public. So they're saying, okay, go ahead and give the original to the DoD or whoever's in real higher in charge, if you will. And okay, let's just do our magic. Okay, this is for the public. They can have it now for consumption. And in the meantime, we're going, I can see right through your garbage. I mean, you can just see the centering. But, yeah. So it's not us the first to see this stuff. Noodles, you said lots of lines like cables cutting into the surface. Well, like I said, right here, way down here, just above the F over here, you can see what looks like this weird, almost like a top of a stop sign. You get the top, then it comes down an angle on the left and on the right, right above this F and this U. Oh, that doesn't sound good. Hey, right here next to the FU. Right here, you can see that. I think it's going to duck behind the words. Let me just see, what are we at? 3 seconds? Right there, just above it. I'm trying to get it as close as we can. I don't know if it'll, nope. Oh, just can't do it, hold on. See, now it's right behind it. It's just above the S and the S right down, accessible. Let's back it up just a hair more. Right there, it's the best I can get to it. Valerian the Mac 3. Be back later. Got to get some diamonds for my spacecraft. Woo! Hillbilly Tarzan, he said, I think the moon was mined by the beings that were once there to get material to build their giant structures. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on between what we see on the moon and what we see on Mars, right? It's just crazy, crazy stuff. And when I see this stuff, I'm going, how does nobody higher up even question this? I mean, I can see some of the things. Like I said, you can see the top now, just slightly better. These two whiter objects literally protruding out of this asteroid on the very top, 12 o'clock position, and right here next to it, maybe near the 11 o'clock position, you can see something that almost looks like a weird oval wing thing with like a black dot right in the middle of it. This right here. I think he was talking about this where you said it was pipes coming up, going up and down, And this one just above the S and the F right now, above successful. Let me watch what's happening. Good to see you in there. Anyone see the square with the ball object on top? A video on my channel. Sweet. Yeah, there's a lot of things in here. That's just crazy. Like you got this object here. It makes you wonder, are these, is it possible, folks, is it that what happens to, let's say, a spacecraft that's been in space for the longest time, and maybe it's just a dead body just floating out in space, and somehow this stuff just gets stuck to it over a course of time. Maybe they have their own electromagnetic kind of thing to them, and then somehow they just stick to it, or it's actually like camouflaged that way, and somehow they can tell that this thing is emitting something that indicates it's something other than natural, and they just go after these objects. I don't know. But to me, I wouldn't go after an object and literally blow it up unless, of course, you knew something, you knew like firsthand if this thing was coming at Earth for some reason to do something to kill off Earth or something. It just doesn't make sense. So I don't know what the deal is, why they're doing that, or they're just doing a video and making it look like they crashed into it and then maybe they didn't. I don't know. There's so many ways you can go with that, right? Yeah, exactly, Lammy. Just before impact. So let's see. These people over here are hooting and hollering. Oh yeah, well we did it. Yeah, whatever. So right here. Renee V said, but it is a formation of three. The first one is much more interesting, but it was kept sneaky out of the picture. Yes. California Proletarian said, there's a growing community of YouTubers who own 12-inch or better telescopes. That's my exclusive source for lunar mining and infrastructure images. Well, yeah, I mean, as long as it's, you know for a fact it's just straight up telescope and not trying to manipulate their own recordings, which I've seen some people do that. And it's just false, right? I like the way that looked. Look at that. Look at the difference in that. It just kind of went, oop. Let's get a better look. I looked at this real briefly earlier, and yay, high five it. 10-5 it. Oh. Ooh, creepy. Interesting. Like I said, just before that again. Yeah, some things just don't look natural on this rock at all. And yeah. Whitebeard Sky Daddy, or maybe the civilization that inhabited this system had mining operations or on just about every rock out there. And I totally agree with you, Whitebeard. Again, our solar system might have been very active, meaning every planet. And people go, well, of course you can't live on a gas planet or you can't live on a hot planet. You don't need to be walking on the surface to live on it. You could literally be underground living on that planet. You could be a dome city on that planet and not have to worry about breathing the air. Maybe they have machines like we're trying to do with like sucking the atmosphere out of, like the CO out of the atmosphere of Mars and changing it into oxygen. Maybe they have similar things, high-tech ways to do that, and drawing the gases or whatever that's toxic can change it to something that's, that's breathable for them. You know what I mean? So nobody says you have to live on a, they go, well, you couldn't live on that planet. It's too hot or it's too cold or is it. nobody says you have to, you know, live outside on the surface, you know. It's like in the wintertime. Of course, we're just using very light variances as opposed to, you know, living like on Mercury or Earth. Like, huge difference, right? But it's the same thing. Let's say it's dead of winter and the wind chill is 25, 35 below zero where you're at. It's snowy and the average temperature is around 1 degree. How long would you stay out in there? If it's 15 below or 20 below normal temperature, Fahrenheit, that's pretty darn cold. You can literally freeze your lungs. So, but if you're in your car, you're creating your own atmosphere to keep you warm. And I don't mean by oxygen or carbon, but as far as temperature-wise. So could it not be done the same way in a dome, and you could produce your own air for yourself as well as temps? I mean, you know, I don't know. I'd say yes, to be honest with you. All right, Limey, what you're saying, black square ball on top of a white line. Yeah, I mean, there's something right here, like I said, that has pretty much similar to that. Something almost looks, there's something right there with something protruding on the top of it. I mean, there's so many things you can look at in this thing. It's just crazy. Yeah, you get some lines right there, some straight lines, faint right there. Something right there. Oh, yeah. Funny enough, what's really weird about this is you think it would actually be turning end over end, and it's not. It's literally just came right at it. Usually these things are twisting or turning or doing a little something, you know, instead of just coming straight at it. Well, if they were going straight at it, rather. Mimi, you said it looks like a dragon fruit. Yeah, kind of, sort of, don't it? You also said, imagine it's a spaceship and we crashed a rocket into it. Or they just know it's something that's intelligently made. They just believe it's, like I said, it's just dead. It's just out there. And it's like, okay. Or it's nothing more than an actual asteroid out in space and they just want to see if they can divert it. But every time they go after something, like Jean Ward said about being Banu, that asteroid, even comets or whatever they may be, all of these other rocks that they're trying to hit, there's some of them that have just weird shapes to them, and they're very similar in shape, and yet we keep going after these particular ones. And you know as well as I do, there's a shit ton of these things out in space, yet let's go after this particular one. Space, that's pretty funny. Pete, you said not to worry, Elon working on robots for space traveling. There you go. We don't have to worry about anybody getting killed, right? I mean, you said just before impact. And like I said, they have, the way they did this, I'm not sure why they did it like that, but like I said, I believe a lot of this too, we're seeing on this very left-hand side, there's other objects that look like they've been, it looks like it has the same texture like you'd see on the rocks of Mars, where you can see where they kind of went over it. It doesn't look natural. Now, of course, a lot of the stuff does. You can see that. But some of the stuff you go, like right here on the upper right, you can see this weird shape inside this other hole right here. Right here. Now, that may just be just a rock in the shadow, but this one up here in the very top on the left. Kind of weird shape. This one's got a jagged rock. See that right there? It's got a point to it right there. This darker rock right there. Nick Savage, what's going on? You said we create safe environments and extreme external ones. Surely they would too. Of course, and if they're a lot more high-tech, it'd be a breeze for them to do it. It'd be not even a big deal to do it. You can see down here in the lower right corner, there's something right here. It's got a straight line to it, right here. And what looks like they went over it with a kind of a blurring tool or something right here. They went right here in this area. Something straight going across, and you can see something white. It's got a circle, a dark circle in it, right there. Huh. Yeah, take a good look at these so-called rocks and stuff. Whitebeard Sky Daddy says, ridiculing anyone and everyone who suggests any such scenario as a possibility is in knee-jerk denial may have been effective rather yesteryear, but not today. It just reinforces our suspicions. Yeah, of course. Makes perfect sense. Yeah, that would be pretty funny, Nick. That's a good comment. He said, what excuse will they come up with when NASA tries to impact and it bounces off an invisible force field? What then? You're like, oh, guys, that didn't work. Or it explodes before it even hits it. Like you're saying, it'd be a force field, right? Yeah, that wouldn't be good. Got busted. You also said, Whitebeard, you said, yeah, when you applied the burn or whatever you did, that one rock formation looked more like a plaza complex carved out of it. Yeah, I mean, you could just see different layers with like corners and levels and even to the right of that particular photo, well, the right inside there, you can see where there's like, it almost looks like a teardrop shaped object sitting right next to each other on another platform. Again, you got to look at it really slowly because they have dark areas and light areas, and they try to confuse the eye by putting there. If everything was light in one color or even slightly darker, you'd see everything individually. You'd be able to see the whole object, and it's so much easier to like peg it than it is with dark, light, and blurred and digitally and digitized out and so on and so forth, right? Marina said, extraordinary theory. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I just see this thing and I just look and I just go, I'm not sure what to make of some of the stuff on here. Like I said, just this object again, top, you can see what looks like this monolithic block or something like megalithic, depending on how you look at it. Right here, the very top, you see like what looks like a top left corner and a right corner. You got these two lighter, whiter objects, which is really weird. Let's see if I can go a little further in with that. Nope. Well, you can, but it's just right there at the very top. There's white piece and this other whiter piece right here. And like I said, just above now it's on the S and F, SSF. Let me just back it up just to here, right there above that. Like I said, it almost looks like the three corners or three sides to just three of the sides of a stop sign, the very top of it, right there. Yeah, you shouldn't see these kind of shapes in these objects. You just shouldn't see it. John Smith, he said, okay, back to work I go. Have a good day. Semper Fi from Tennessee. All right, Semper Fi, right back at you. Like I said, if you did serve, thank you very much for your service. And have a great day. Thanks for joining us. That's awesome. Brain Drain says, hoorah. Oh, yeah. Whitebeard, you said, wonder what the Rothschilds know about all this ancient solar civilization, among other things. Rothschild's Island in sunny, northern Antarctica. Empty baked potato husk in the north region, Noodle said. Yeah, I mean, this is weird. Oh, my God. I mean, some of the stuff, you look at it real quick. Again, look at anything real quick, you won't notice anything. Stop and study the actual shapes of some of these things in here. And you go, okay, I'm cool with that, being natural, but is it possible something else is made out of this natural object? I don't know. Just a question. Natural Libre, what's going on? Good to see you in there. Your question was, have you seen Russia spotting an asteroid heading for Earth? No, I haven't seen that. Oh, anytime, John. You said, I did. I'm a war veteran. Thanks for the shout out there, sir. Oh, no problem. Again, thank you for your service. And have a good, rest of the weekend there. But glad to have you here. Now, you also said, fun when NASA just crashed its spacecraft into one. Huh. Yeah, exactly. Let me what you said. Middle of the left dark line, white line square with a ball object on top, just on impact. I'm shouting at my computer. I can just see that now. No, not right there, up here. Let me see. Let's see, James Bible, you said waiting to join the Space Force National Guard 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year in space. That would be interesting. That would be pretty sweet. I'd like to see that. Nick Savage, you said, you know they continued filming during impact. Claim they won't know won't know for a few days. They don't want to show results until they edit out. Yeah, exactly. Anything they don't want seen. Exactly. Then because like you said, now didn't they record this from 2 different objects, 2 spacecraft or something like that? I forget exactly what it was. You guys can, I'm sure you guys know. But the thing is, it's like if it went and it exploded, and let's say the thing cracked open like an egg, and it was actually a spacecraft of some sort. You go, holy crap! Like let's say it only put a hole in it and didn't destroy it. Because the way it showed in the animation, it showed the actual asteroid. And all you see is a hit, and like a bunch of debris just came out. It didn't completely, explode the whole thing. It didn't literally blow it to pieces. What happens if they put a hole in it? You can see like almost like steel girders or some kind of like a hull of some sort. Maybe they're doing that just to find out what it is. Salo 595, what's going on? Good to see you in there. Your question was, why wouldn't you send one behind to film the result? Well, they were already filming it from something else, and I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if it was like from a Earth-based telescope or if it was some other craft. I think it was a small CubeSat or something like that. I'm not. You guys have to remind me, or tell me what it was. I'm kind of forgot what it was that they recorded it from. It's kind of like what they did on the moon when they sent an explosive on it, because they wanted to hit the moon, and then there was one right behind it that would actually record the debris. In other words, I don't know if it had like a spectrometer that would literally see whatever's the ejector, what's in the ejector, right? So if it was water, or if it was like any iron core or any of that, it can literally see that real quick, send the information back before it impacted. So there was like 2 of them. One was actually had an explosive on it, and the other one did not. The other one was for that. Now, as far as the other recording of this, when this event happened, I believe they recorded from a satellite or home-based or Earth-based giant telescope. So it'd be interesting to see that after it was hit. Okay, yeah, Josh D said CubeSat and JW and Hubble did look too. That's what I thought. Okay. Okay, yeah, exactly. All right, so Third Eye Open, good to see you in there as well. Always glad to have you in there. You said, yes, they filmed it from another spacecraft following behind it. Now, I know there was supposed to be a CubeSat, like Josh D said, and then he said the James Webb and the Hubble did look too. Okay. I wasn't 100% sure. I didn't want to say something else and go, I'm completely wrong. If I don't know, I'm just going to say I don't know. So interesting to see that. And I'd be interested to see what they do with that footage after, right? Yeah, you know how that works. As you can see, I love that when they do that, when you like looking for like different scanners and stuff like that. You notice how it's now, it's an actual ad here. Love it. Super Earths are more common and more habitable than Earth. Astronomers are finding more of the billions out there. So yeah, now they're not even going after these other smaller planets. They're going after the super Earths, which kind of makes sense, right? You're looking for something that's, chances are, if it's a lot like Earth, it's got a same makeup, if you will, of Earth, then chances are you'll find life, right? Astronomers think most likely a place to find life in the galaxy is on super Earths like Kepler 69c, seen in this artist's rendition. And of course, you can see it right there. That's just an artist's rendition, of course. But you get the idea, and it's like, astronomers now routinely discover planets orbiting stars outside the solar system, they're called exoplanets. That goes under the no shit category. But in summer 2022, teams working on NASA's transitioning exoplanet survey satellite, or the TESS, because they call it TESS, found a few particularly interesting planets orbiting the habitable zones of their planets, their parent stars. I was going to say planet stars, either way. One planet is 30% larger than Earth and orbits its star in less than 3 days. The other is 70% larger than Earth and might host a deep ocean. These two exoplanets are super-Earths, more massive than the Earth, but smaller than ice giants like Uranus and Neptune. So, yeah, really, really interesting. It's pretty cool. But it makes more sense to go after something like that instead of wasting time on just any planet you can find out there. You're trying to find the biggest planet that might be, third or fourth planet from its parenting star. It would make more sense because that's how we're like in that cold and Goldilocks zone where it's not too hot, not too cold. So it makes sense to be able to do that, right? Or do that. Pat S., what's going on? He said, hello, folks. Did anybody see the article today of the Mars helicopter saw a piece of unknown debris on the ground? I don't think I've seen that because, like I said, I just got on earlier, and I jumped on here at 1, but didn't have a chance to actually look at that. That was put out today? Hillbilly Tarzan, he said, to have the scanner on top, the unit okay, so the Bearcat D536 HP. Is that any good? Because I've looked that up too, and is it really a pain in the shorts to actually get that one set up? It doesn't look like it'd be too bad, as long as you got the right software and stuff like that. Let me see. Wild Arter, what's going on? Good to see you in there. He said, we have a Space Force, but they never explain how they're getting the soldiers to space. Well, a lot of them will be like, Earth-based, where they're like scanning the skies and all this other stuff, but they are having crafts out there, and like you said, they're not explaining how they're, seeing these, right? And James Bible, you were actually replying to him. He said, I understand the need for Space Force, where they don't show any of the vehicles to help sway the public opinion. Black Ops. Yeah. Like I said, you're on a need-to-know basis, and that's pretty much it, right? And that's the way it's always been. Alan Snyder, you said this definitely has some strange stuff going on there. Those shapes on the surface look a little hinky and rounder shape. Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff... You can say, yeah, it's absolutely rocks. There's no doubt. And then some stuff you just go, okay, why do the two 90-degree corners? Why this other piece looks like a top of a stop sign again, straight across, and then the left and the right going down like this at angles? It just doesn't make sense. And it's not something, again, you should be seeing on a natural asteroid. Will you see rocks? Will you see other larger boulders and smaller ones and gravel type things? Of course. I mean, that's, it is what it is. Backyard Astronaut, thank you very much for your support, man. I do appreciate it. You said asteroids look too perfectly rounded. Asteroid looks too perfectly rounded. By the way, great show. Well, I appreciate it. Well, that's because everybody's here. Not just me that makes this a good show. It's all of you folks. Hillbilly Tarzan, yes, it is easy. Just download the Sentinel software. If I can do it, you surely can, LOL. I have the NXDN and the DMR. Okay. But now, did you get that from the software as well, or did you have to load those as well separately? The other software, I'm sorry, the upgrades. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Hillbilly. You said you can program only what you want, or just put your zip code in and set it to the range, set the range, and let it do the rest. Well, see, I mean, yeah, I mean, you'd have to do. You don't want to do like all down in the ham bands and everything else, because then you'll have like 10,000 channels in there, right? You want to do like the local police. Well, because yours local may be different from mine. So yeah. 786 Auto says Space Force movie highly recommended. When was that put out, Otto? Was that just recently, or was that put out a year or two ago? Seemed to me I remember seeing something like that. It was, I don't know if it was a movie or a documentary. Am I wrong? Or was it just put out? Yeah, it's all about money. You guys know that, right? It's like, whatever they can personally gain. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for gain on technology from other planets. Maybe from some kind of ship or something like that just floating out in space, and they want to analyze it. I'm cool with that. Why? Because it may help our Earth actually evolve a lot faster, more technologically advanced even faster. So I'm okay with that, as long as it's not being weaponized. And of course, it's counterproductive, and it's just useless to do that, right? So, yeah, I don't see that as far as that way it goes around. It's kind of like when you see people hunting deer or something like that, right? It's like, I'm okay with people hunting these things, and maybe they're feeding the family with. It makes sense, right? But just to shoot it, drop it, and just walk away from it, that's senseless. And it's kind of the same way when it comes to this, looking for extraterrestrial, beings or technologies of any of that sort. Cool, you know what I mean? Even if they're hiding a lot of it from us, at least if the end result is to better our planet, I'm down with it, you know what I mean? Oh, okay, Hillbilly. You said bought the upgrades online at Bearcat Warehouse. Okay. They send you a key and you can punch it in the scanner. Oh, so it's already in the scanner. You just have to, hell, why don't you just look for the keys then? I just look it online. The video, there's video showing how to do it. Yeah, easier than the early scanning. It's like Pro 187. I still wish I had the one I had. It was a Trident. It was from Europe, and it was illegal here in the United States. That damn thing would do everything from like 5 kilohertz all the way to like, I think it was 2 gigs. It was like, I think it was up to 2 gigs. And there wasn't anything that thing couldn't get. There was no blockages, no nothing. Here, cell phones, all kinds of shit on that thing. I'd done some wheeling and dealing with a good buddy of mine, and he's actually gotten rid of it years ago. I'm like, damn, I wish I could find another one of those. Yeah, there you go, say hello, 595. NASA just threw a pebble at a car on the highway, pretty much. And that's what I'm saying. It makes you wonder if you got a good-sized, asteroid, and you hit it with an explosive. Are you trying to completely just knock this thing off course, or are you just trying to take a peek inside it? That's the difference. And it's one thing. It didn't look like, the way from the animation, it didn't look like it literally was going to knock it off course that badly. It looked like they were just trying to blow a hole in it. Although, we'll have to see the whole thing at one point, right? Renee V, is it great that you have the time again to do this great hangout? Awesome chatters. Oh, yeah. I said, I feel good to actually be here, you know what I mean? Because it's been so freaking long that, it's good to be able to spend time with you guys. And I'll be getting off this thing soon because my game's coming up next. So, yeah. Nick Savage said, Chris, please see what you can come up with the high-res photos of Phobos. Of all the photos of objects in space, the color shots of Phobos are most creepy and foreboding. I have examined. Please check. I'll have to do that. You know how that is. There's very few of those. I think I checked a while back. And they're not the cleanest, but some of them are pretty darn good. James Craig came back. Steve Garnham. He said, hi, mate. I had to go earlier, but I'm back. I'm back. Hillbilly said I had an old BC 350 that picked up cell phones. They came out that way until I think in '94. Well, some of them, a lot of these, even the Radio Shacks and stuff like that, you had to actually mod, which is no big deal. A lot of times it's just a stupid resistor or diode you had to either remove or jump or do something silly, and it was pretty easy to do. But a lot of these SMC, the surface mount capacitors or components, they're so tiny you just make the littlest mistake and you can pretty much fry the thing, so you had to be careful. You said Sentinel is free. You can set up what you want on your computer and hook it up to the scanner to download or just pull a mini SD. Oh, okay. All right. No, I was talking about your upgrades, not so much the software, but the upgrades itself, you said. Yeah, I remember. It's funny because when you said that about cell phones as well, I remember I had it on there. It was scanning, and I just put like a limit where it can go from one end to the other on as far as that spectrum. And people would sit there talking, "Oh my God!" Some of these people were talking about trashy, and it was funny because they'd be like, "Imagine if anybody could hear us on this." That's when you started to roll and almost fall off the chair, like the old school, like when you used to listen to cordless phones. It was funny. Yeah, SMD is a pain in the radios too. Yeah, it is a pain in the rear end. Let me see. Brain Drain, you said everyone here rocks. I have to go. See you all next time. All right, Brain Drain, thanks for being here and sharing your comments and questions and everything else. Appreciate you being here. And I'm going to be jumping off this bad whamma jamma too, so I can sit down and watch some TV before. What's the word I want to use? Before the weekend's completely out. But like I said, this was like a highlight for me because the weekend it was rainy and shitty out. So I mean, it's still like 59 degrees out right now. The dew point's like 55, so it probably won't drop that low here. But the way they were talking to be down in the 40s, the way they were saying tomorrow, it'll be in the 40s tomorrow morning, but according to this, it'll be like 55. But once all this clears out, that'll change. It's showing like a wind speed right now of 7, but it's not showing the peak, which is probably around 12 miles an hour, roughly. But yeah, interesting. Well, we had almost an inch of rain for this month. So, and most of that was between yesterday and today. Josh D said, have a good one. Thank you for the great, see you back. Oh, yeah. Steve Gonomy said, I just installed Android 12, problem since. Ooh, that sucks. James Gregan, thanks again for your support, as always. He said, Chris, if you remember a few weeks ago, you were talking about Armstrong going to the caves of Ecuador. I have put up on Discord, okay? Oh, all right, cool. Yeah, interesting, right? Hillbilly Tarzan, he said, I took mine to Pigeon Forge once. Unbelievable what you can hear. Somewhere in the 800 to 900 something. Oh, yeah. I know. Pretty interesting, isn't it? All right. Oh, this is a picture of the shack here. A little stuff here. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. We're going to jump on off this bad boy. Thanks for everyone being here. Thanks for all the support. You guys are awesome, as always. I was happy to be able to get on this thing, and I'm going to see what I can do about possibly doing this on the Sundays for now, and if you guys are down with that, that's cool too. And if you guys haven't, like I said, you haven't given the thumbs up, please do so. It is appreciated. And like I said, give it a thumbs up, and always drop a comment down after the video has been actually becomes a video, if you will, on YouTube. It's always good for what I'm looking for, numbers or the way YouTube sees a channel. It actually helps it out. But as always, you guys are awesome. Great bunch of people, as always. I told the wife I got to get in there because it's been so long since I've even chatted with you folks. I wanted to get in there, so I appreciate you all. And much love to anybody, and I hope everybody's safe down in Florida and anywhere else, like the Carolinas, where this thing pretty much whooped their ass over there too. So, you know, I guess somebody else just said condolences to anybody who might have lost somebody down in these areas. And yeah, I mean, you can't express it enough. Mother Nature's no joke. I mean, you really got to be careful. Thanks again, James. Appreciate it. So, Chris, man, everyone tonight, fantastic to see you. Same right back at you, James. Marina, okay. You said I would appreciate Sunday Hangouts. Are you thinking somewhere, guys, around 12, 1-ish like we did today? Probably 1-ish. It's a little easier because some people get up late and some people are just getting out of church. I get all that. So it's a little tougher for people. So trying to get like a sweet spot, if you will. But I'll let everybody go. I appreciate everybody being here and spending the time. I think we had a pretty good turnout. I mean, people were here pretty long. I wouldn't say pretty long, but as far as the amount of people, I mean, people are down to 81 now, but it was higher than that. So I do appreciate everybody being here, or at least most of the people could. A lot of people probably didn't even know it was even on, so no big deal. Because we just kind of popped it, 2.5 hours before we jumped on. So I don't blame them. I blame me. But anyway, again, folks, thanks for being here. Stay safe and, you know, be careful. And that's pretty much it. I mean, what else can you say? Let me see. Let me make sure this is good. Let me see. Yep, you guys can always jump up to Discord and check that out. Everybody's up there sharing stuff, and make sure you just put it in the right categories, guys, as far as that. But yeah, I mean, that's rocking up there. You guys have conversations up there, share videos and stuff, which is good. So check that out. Pretty good. Really cool. A lot of you folks are keeping it up in there. Raina said goodbye. Good night. I'm sorry. Great session. Goodbye. It's been great to see you all next time. I think you choose a convenient time. Yeah, I'm thinking somewhere around there, 12, 1-ish. I think it'd be pretty cool. Renee, you said cool that you were there again. I really enjoyed and the amazing woman I call for it. Sorry, but we'll be fine with a bunch of flowers until the next time. Awesome. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you got to make up for it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Elaine, you're fine. You said thanks. Sorry, not Chad. And Ben just listening. Oh, you're fine. Mimi said good night, Chris, and thank you for the hangout. Well, thank you folks for all being here. And like I said, you guys are awesome. Anyway, stay safe, and we'll see you guys soon. And like I said, I think I've got 2 solid videos, and I think I got another one already on its way too. So I'm going to try to get those out this week if I can, depending on the work. You know how that goes, and that goes there, folks. So we're going to see what we can do for you. Anyway, everybody have a good one. Peace. We'll talk to you soon.